Oh boy. It is new patch day on World of Warcraft. I say that knowing that it was yesterday because I couldn't fucking play until like 12 in the morning. Holy shit, man. Servers were down. I was mad. I even took yesterday off. It's okay. I made art instead. Today I will play World of Warcraft. Today I will explore the Emerald Dream, but not before the very long-awaited, important return of a ritual, a day of great merit. And that is the return of Worldbuilding Wednesdays. Feels good. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. It is indeed, it's Wednesday, right? Wednesday. I would hope so. Wednesday of Worldbuilding Wednesdays, for it is a day of challenge. Today we have a very difficult goal. Lofty ambitions. Today we need to answer some questions about the Astral Knight. The Sage is almost done. Almost ready for playtest. The Knight, however, we don't even have any rules for it. I don't even know how it works, man. We gotta ask the questions. We gotta come up with the answers. We got a whole bunch of shit to do, but we'll get to that. What's up, Charlord? Good to see you, Kitty. How's it going, Viddy? What's going on, Steph? Steph, you're not working too hard, are you? What's going on, L2, Azura? Good to see you, Sonia, Atari, even Bizzo's here. Bizzo's never at my stream. Holy shit. PogChamp, man. I pretended to burn my hand at work to come home, and you're streaming win-win? Good shit, man. That's what I like to hear. Never work when you don't have to. And if you can pretend to burn your hand, pretend to be sick, whatever it is to get out of work, I support it. You know, I used to work at a game store. We had a guy who was sick on Fridays. He was sick on Fridays, probably twice a month. And then Monday, when his next shift is, he'd be like, "Oh, guys, I feel better." I'd be like, all right. I respect it. I always respect the grind. I was never sick. I never missed work. I was a good boy. I would never have called in. I actually didn't really all that often because let's face it, you work at a game store. What are you doing, man? It's not like you gotta go, oh shit, I gotta be sick so I can't go outside and like hammer iron into steel to make like some fucking buildings or train tracks or some shit. It's like, dang it, man. That's I gotta go to the game store and I gotta sit around and talk to people. We did have busy work though, unfortunately. Our manager was very he's very set on busy work. You know, you ever work for somebody or in a company or, you know, for a retail job or whatever, where you have to be busy all the time, right? Where when you have free time and you get your job done, you're like, I adjusted all the stuff. I ordered all the whatever. I cleaned the this. I inventoried the that. I did these orders. I did this thing. I got this redone. I put up the display. I did all these things. Bro, I'ma sit here and just like, and sort some cards or something, man. Your manager be like, bro, you're not doing anything. Get up. Go do something. You're like, you pay me minimum, really? I don't know, man. No, so that was the great thing about working in the card section is you could always be sorting cards. I remember one day I was sitting there moving cards into piles just like of commons that you would never need sorted that are literal garbage for like 2 hours. And every time the thing is, if you look frustrated, people don't bother you. Right? That was something I learned working at the game store. If you look frustrated or in a hurry, people usually leave you alone. I don't know if that works in the corporate world as well. Like maybe you can avoid meetings or if you have to walk through your office, as long as you look like you're annoyed and you're going somewhere in a hurry, you're like, ugh, oh, I gotta get there. I gotta do the thing. And you like grab something, you'll slam it down in the back, and people are like, oh shit, he's upset. Come out with this big box of who knows what, walk back to my desk, and people are like, all right, I'm not gonna talk to him for a couple of hours, man. He's doing it. He's on point, man. He's gotta get there. He's gotta get it done, whatever it is. We're not gonna bother him. And so that was my basic tactic and strategy. Just always be sorting cards, always be frustrated.
How do you make a tissue dance?
Oh god.
Put a little boogie in it. Almost 3 years. Time to learn TTS protocol.
That was the worst one of the month. Kitty, thank you for the 34 months. I appreciate that. Holy shit, bro. Thank you, Kitty. That's a long time. Thank you. Thank you for being part of all of my degenerate streams for almost 3 years, dude. That's a long ass time. Holy shit, man. I feel honored. Really, I am. Thank you for being a part of it. Mind numbing work done. I shuffle the pile. Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. I mean, that's like I've done that before. I've sorted stuff into piles, and then I like look around. Look, man, it needs to be done. Resting bitch face is a powerful tool when used sparingly. Yeah, I think that like in general, if you can act annoyed, frustrated, whatever, like you're dealing with some shit for the company's sake, you're suffering for the company's sake, you know, that's good, right? Because everyone who has somebody working for them just wants their employees to be suffering in the name of making them more money. After all, listen, man, if you work at a company that's a publicly traded corporation, how would you feel if the board members and investors of your company had smaller yachts than the board members and investors of the other company? You should be ashamed of yourself, bro. Like, come on. That's what I think about for, like, you know, playing video games as well. Like, you could be complaining about the microtransactions in your game, but like, don't you want the CEO of your company and the investors have a bigger yacht than the CEO and investors of another video game company? That's right, man. It's important. So no, you should always be a good employee. You should always do good work. It'll get noticed 20% of the time anyway. So the fact that you can make that shuffle sound perfectly is amazing. Look, dude, you know what I'm talking about. We all know what I'm talking about when I'm saying shuffle that shit. Anyone remember the episode of Rugrats where the adults literally sweep papers around? I don't, actually. I barely remember Rugrats. I hadn't thought about Rugrats in probably 7 years until you just brought that up. So I'm impressed, bro. Todd Howard, is that you? No, come on, man. We don't want Todd needs a bigger yacht. Let's face it. Todd doesn't have a big enough yacht. Todd doesn't even get a yacht though, because Todd works for Microsoft. Todd works for Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer works for Bill Gates. Bill Gates needs a bigger yacht. That's how you got to worry about. That's why I want to make a game studio someday. I want to found a game studio, and I want to found a game studio like Elon Musk founds a company. I want to go in. I want to hire a bunch of people who will do it for me, and then every once in a while I want to waddle in and be like, okay, all right, well, I'm doing other stuff, and then I go back and like work on Tesla or whatever the project is that I, you know, like I feel like that's the way I want to have a game studio. You know, I just in general want to you know, in general, I want to just hire a bunch of people who will do a project for me, and then I can I don't know, reap the benefits of it. No, come on, man. I'd actually do work. I would actually do work. That or can you make a TTRPG MMO? No. Okay, I guess I have to do it in a video game. Shit. I feel like I just showed my age. Old AF. Yeah, basically. I mean, that's when you remember old cartoons. It's okay when we're all boomers. We're all playing D&D. Nobody under the age of like 38 actually plays D&D. Okay, everyone who plays D&D is an ancient geriatric boomer, so we don't have to worry about it. The Zoomers played it during COVID, but the Zoomers all you know, fucked off to go do whatever they were gonna do, whatever important thing they think is important, you know, like school or TikTok or something. So actually, I have noticed that the Zoomers don't play D&D anymore. It's all boomers. Anytime I meet somebody out in the wild, in the wilderness that plays D&D, they're always ancient. They're always like old enough for their grandkids to leave them at Swiss Chalet later in the day. If you don't know what Swiss Chalet is, don't worry about it. TTRPG MMO is actually happening though. Seeing it done on Twitch, it's wild. Yeah, but I mean mechanically design it, bro. I don't mean like run it, because I know there's some people that do like MMO style TTRPGs. It's like Ultra West Marches, which is a fun idea. But the problem is that I have with that idea is that I don't like the concept of having one player having an impact over another player's game. That makes sense, because here's the thing. D&D players can be categorized into one of two types of players: shitheads and assholes. You are unfortunately one of those two players. Regardless of, oh no, Evan, I play a cleric. I just want people in my party to have a good time. I just want to heal the barbarian. I just want to spec into paladin and smite evil. Great, you're a shithead. Right? It's so simple, man. And the problem is that you can't have those players, regular D&D players, your average player, deciding what happens in another game. Otherwise, you're going to have nuked continents, beholder, brothels. You're going to have like bathtub chariot riding merfolk charging into combat because you ruined their ancient texts or something. Now they have to go invade the human kingdoms of the coastal societies, and it's not good. It's fine in your game, but like unironically, every D&D story is 78% less interesting and 94% less funny if you weren't there. And that's something most D&D players realize. D&D players realize it slowly as they're telling the story. They're like, okay, so all right, so did my game last week. So the bard, okay, it was hilarious. So the bard, he got drunk, right? And then we were supposed to go like intimidate the like crime boss, but like he went over there and like failed his persuasion, so he just started to flirt with. And it's at this time you realize your story isn't actually funny and nobody cares. And you're like, oh shit. D&D stories, damn it. Okay. So imagine how your D&D game impacting another person's D&D game is just forcing you to listen to their D&D story, right? Like there was this one streamer, the Voldemort of the D&D category, which I will say his name, I fear him not, Arcadum. And before Arcadum got canceled, I remember he was talking to Devin Nash, who was a streamer on the industry business, the business side of things. He's a very interesting guy to listen to, and he was interviewing Arcadum, talking about his growth of his like his D&D channel. And Arcadum was bragging. He was like, okay, so this one time I had multiple players in the game at the same time, and we had one of the players like blew up the continent, and then I had to go to the other players and tell them like, sorry guys, you just all died in this fiery whatever. And Devin was like, wow, that's so crazy. One of your D&D games can affect the other. He was all impressed. I'm thinking the entire time, what do you mean? I would be so mad. I wouldn't be like, imagine you're playing D&D and you're in my group and I'm like, yo guys, hey, sorry, this other group, they stole the treasure first, so now you don't have request. Also, they unleashed the plague, and you all took plague damage in between this game and last game. So sorry, guys. Y'all take charisma damage and con damage. The party be like, "What the fuck? What do you mean? Let me go over there and I'll fight them." And then you have inter-party PvP, and it's a whole thing. I think it's lame as hell to have one group affect what they do affecting another group. But maybe somebody can do it in a way that's actually cool. I think you'd have to have a lot of structure from the DM side of like what you can actually affect, which players get whiny when you don't give them like full autonomy to do whatever they want. So I don't think it would work. I think it's best to have like little fragmented pockets of the dimension that each individual group owns, Boulder Brothel sounds hilarious. Yeah, you would think so. Look at the card. It has Beholder and Bikini. You're reading the book. Yeah, it's like the cards they flick at you in Vegas. Yeah, you get it. Arcadum got canceled. Arcadum did get canceled. I don't remember exactly what for, but apparently he was a weird boy. So there went mainstream appeal of Twitch, because Arcadum was the chosen one. He was the one who got mainstream streamers into D&D on Twitch, and then he was a weird boy. So There goes that, I guess, D&D category boon. Probably for the best though. But who else would I brag about how cool it was? The paladin lost half their soul to the Lich's phylactery. I mean, he's got better, but it was really cool. It never happened before. Is that zany? Yeah, I think like everyone remember. Do you guys remember the story you told when you realized that your D&D stories weren't interesting to anyone who wasn't there? Because I remember the story. I remember the story precisely. It was me recounting a boss fight when I was telling some friends in like college or whatever, and they were like all fantasy nerds, and they were like not D&D players, and I was telling them about this cool boss fight about how the like vampire lord would like suck the essence out of like thralls that he had around the map, so he would like rush over and like rip out the essence of a thrall, and he would like form their essence into a new weapon, and he would change his attacks or whatever, and it was like this big like well thought out encounter. I just saw my friends staring at me, like 4 of them, while we were eating lunch at the mall nearby my university, and they were just like, uh-huh. And I was like, oh, this is this thing you had to be there for. And they're like, yeah, glad you had fun though. And I like realized, I was like, oh my god, all of D&D is a thing you had to be there for. And it was a shattering moment. I kind of broke my heart, but I'm glad I figured it out eventually. What about the one Eye of Vecna story where the party tricked the other party to remove the eyes over a fake Eye of Vecna? I've never used Vecna in my game before. Everyone talks about Vecna. I have no idea. All right. Vecna could be a bald streamer playing World of Warcraft for all I know. All right. That's got some hand, like some monkey paw hand thing that you can do some shit with. The most Vecna I've experienced was the Vecna battle in Critical Role, because I just don't use D&D Forgotten Realms and I don't know, Greyhawk or whatever you call the D&D general pre-written set. I just don't use that stuff, so it's always new to me. People sometimes ask like, "Oh man, is this just like a fight with Xanathar?" I'm like, "Who the fuck is Xanathar?" You know? So I know who Xanathar is, but you know what I mean, right? I got good examples, but the DM needs to be the narrative filler to make it feel good. Yeah, I think it'd be a big challenge. You definitely have to have it be a little choose your own adventure-y, I think. Right? Like I don't know.
43 months and still no Elder MMO released. Match.
What do you mean? You're the engineer. Why don't you engineer an MMO into existence? All right. Oh wait, if you did that, it probably wouldn't come out until 8 p.m. That. Yes. All right, that was a low blow. I'm sorry. That was a low blow. That wasn't called for. That wasn't fair. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know, man. Can't remember the specific, but I definitely had experiences where I tried to tell someone and realized how uninteresting it is to others, so I stopped trying to tell stories about campaigns. Yeah, I think like meta stories are kind of cool, like arcs, but it's hard to tell like an individual scenario. You know, Cackaway, I'm sorry, Dasho. Thank you for the 43 months. I appreciate that. Thanks for never unsubbing from my channel, even though you should have probably 2 years ago. That's a long time, man. Average WoW player description? Yeah, brain knows. There's 2 parties trying to kill each other at a group separate. Spread fake rumors, or they spread fake rumors about a head of Vecna. Got one party member to find it, and he used a demon summon to behead himself to place the head on him, and just ended up killing him. Wait, is the head of Vecna actually a thing? I don't know, man. I don't know shit about fucking regular normie D&D. I don't play in those settings. I don't know. The only like D&D setting I know a little bit about is Dark Sun, because that one's metal as hell. I actually really like Dark Sun. It's kind of like, if y'all haven't played it before, I don't think they've made a Dark Sun book in 5th edition. I think the last D&D Dark Sun. No, the last book they made was a 4th edition campaign guide. But Dark Sun's cool. It's like this kind of like, it's like if Frank Frazetta was a setting. If you know what I mean when I say that, you know precisely what I mean. If you don't know what I mean when I say that, I really don't know any better way to describe it. But it's kind of like old school. I'd say like old school 80s fantasy feeling, all deserts and shit. You know, desert dwarves. I don't know. It's cool. It's Dark Sun's really cool. They haven't even made a 3.5 edition. Will never happen. Kenshi and TTRPG? Wait, what? Of Dark Sun? Or what? Or are we talking about the head of Vecna? I don't know. I'm confused. Either way. All right, today there is going to be a deep dive into the Astral Knight. We are returning to World Building Wednesdays. Today I want to go over and figure out exactly what it means to do the Astral Knight things, to play an Astral Knight. And I want to preface this because I realize sometimes when we talk about D&D ideas in the past, there has been a challenge that has emerged. I want to figure out how to make D&D work for the Astral Knight and not the other way around, right? Here's my thought process on it. I feel like you have to have a little bit of like hubristic arrogance that your ideas are good enough to mold the game to, as opposed to mold your ideas to the game. Because there's a dynamic that you have to have there, right? It's like you have a reverence for the game where every idea you have, class, concept, whatever, has to fit into the game. All right, take an MMO, for example, Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft. You can't just create a new class or a new concept and, you know, a new spec or whatever it is and not fit it into the game. The ultimate hierarchy of what is important is the game itself, making sure the game works. And so whenever you have a new concept, you have to make it work for the game. I think for D&D, it needs to kind of be the other way around. I think that's one of the beautiful things about D&D. I think that D&D has to work for the class idea, the concept, the story. Because remember, we're not going for ultra balanced, competitive, you know, D&D concepts here. Like I don't think D&D is a very balanced game, and I think trying to balance it's actually a bit of a mistake. I think that imbalance in D&D is part of the charm of it, and it's a necessary sacrifice at the altar of interesting D&D, if that makes sense. So I really want to try and figure out how to make the mechanics of D&D work for the Astral Knight and not the other way around. Because I think that a lot of times when we talk about D&D ideas, it's like, okay, well, there's no real mechanic that you can do to like make this thing work, so I guess this thing can't work. You have to fit it into the, you know, how does magic work? Well, you have this way of casting, you have that way of casting, you have spell slots, you have this and that. And a lot of times it's like, how interesting, the challenge for class building in D&D is how interesting can you make something within the constraints of D&D, right? But I feel like we've kind of optimized the hell out of that, and we're kind of done. We've kind of beat D&D if that's the goal. So I want to like take a little bit of disregard. Like, who are we to say that our ideas are good enough to make D&D fit our concepts as opposed to our concepts fit D&D? Like, wait, what are we talking about, man? We're just average people, average players. Like, that's not, you know, who are we to say that? Who am I to say that I want to make D&D fit my world as opposed to the other way around, right? There's lots of great D&D worlds, and you don't necessarily have to have your idea playing, you know, or to play with. So you want to make your idea fit the D&D concept, the D&D universe, the D&D worlds, the D&D game as a whole. But I think that we're not going to get anywhere interesting unless we do it the other way around. We have to try and figure out how to mold the rules of D&D to fit the concept that we want to design. So for the Astral Knight, there's a lot of things that are like, if we were to say make this as a video game, there's a lot of ways we could handle the Astral Knight. If we were writing this as a book, there's a lot of ways we could handle the Astral Knight. But as a D&D game, it's like, oh, you know, Astral Knights all wear a specific kind of armor. But what do you do in D&D when you get a different type of armor? It's like, you can't have your Astral Knights only wear, you know, they have to wear medium or light or heavy armor. They can't just wear breastplates. It's like, why not? Realistically, why not? Well, what happens when your DM gives you a chain shirt? You can't wear it. It's that easy. Oh, but that's like, that's difficult. I know, but it's thematic, and that's an example. That's a silly example, but it's an example of the kind of like, the kind of deep dive I want to take on Astral Knights and trying to figure out how to make D&D work for them, opposed to the other way around. So, WotC announced somewhere this year the Dark Sun is too controversial for modern audiences. Really? Didn't they make? Is this not a real book? The 4th ed one? Isn't this relatively recent? Dark Sun is too controversial. What about Dark Sun was controversial? I thought it was just like a general metal 80s D&D setting. I don't know what's controversial about it. That's kind of weird. All right. I mean, look, Wizards is playing safe in an ultimate degree right now. So let them. They can make their generic stuff that's safe and board approved, investor ready, whatever, that they can release to the public and beautiful. We will make the interesting stuff. That's what we, the community, are supposed to do. So balancing is part of the game where fine-tuning happens at the table, not at the developer level, in my opinion. It's impossible to design for every scenario, especially in something as loose as a TTRPG. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that it's almost a mistake to try and like hold yourself to a standard where you're like, I'm going to try and balance for every possible interaction you're going to have. Every weapon that you can loot, every magic item, every scenario, every whatever. You know, I don't think that you can balance for it. So I think that part of the fun of D&D is that you can do crazy shit. And so you have like very safe, well-balanced, good classes. And those are the core classes. But when we enter with some sort of an interesting new class, I think it's time. I think it's time to make some cool shit. What's up, Gabby? It's that you have to be in character. It's not that the Astral Knight can't wear it. It's that he or she won't. Basically. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it, Atari. Because from a narrative standpoint, well, Astral Knights, they do things a certain way. Well, why? Because the convictions of their order are very important to them. Right? And so you can say, well, why does the Astral Knight not like to wear armor? Why do they like to wear armor on their hands and forearms and elbows and then like legs up to their knees? Why don't they wear armor on their chest? And why don't they wear armor on their, their torso? Isn't that silly? Well, it derives itself from flexibility and mobility. Okay, well, why can't I've designed this armor set that's super mobile. Do you know how mobile Gambison is? It's like, yeah, there's all these ways that you can think about it, but part of tradition of the order is that they figured out this way of optimizing their combat abilities, and they like it. And so you as an Astral Knight fit into that mold. But we also have to leave room for, again, players to be selfish storytellers, to take the currency that we build with something cool as an idea and let them do what they want with it to be the special little, unicorn in the order. Because players are going to do that. Very few players want to be part of the chain of currency building tradition. But they want to spend all that, but they don't want to have to pay for it. I think that's perfectly fine. As long as we plan for that kind of player selfish RP or selfish game building, which I don't know. Some people like when I say the word selfish but I think it's actually kind of a fair use of the word there, because it's not bad. It's just, but it is very self-serving. It's very self-serving, gameplay. And why shouldn't your story be self-serving? You're the one telling it, It has slavery. There's too much of chicken shit to deal with the fact that bad guys are slavers. Oh, I mean, but lots of D&D has awful people doing awful things in it, right? Because of the drow culture stuff, so they are tiptoeing heavily around it. What about the drow cultures are they mad about? Because are they removing the drow culture from the Underdark as well? Based on how they desauced the newest Ravenloft book, I can see how they'd shy away from Dark Sun. I think it's a mistake, man. Are tieflings evil and not hot in Dark Sun? Wait, what? Wait, are there tieflings in Dark Sun? I don't know. Maybe. I wish stay for longer, but I have lists of things to do. All right, Kitty, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for chilling. I appreciate you. Watson should take the Matt Mercer route to their re-releasing old campaigns and just put the caveat boxes explain they can do without certain themes expressed and give replacement reasons for certain details. It's in there, but they tell everyone it's optional. Look, I think the whole thing should be optional. It's yeah, man, these people are awful. They they pillage the countryside. It's all right, well, what does that mean? What dark things, what evil deeds does that actually entail? Who knows? Your group can imagine what you want to imagine. If you guys want to stay away from certain ideas, all right, fine. But if you want to throw everything in there, every gratuitous awful action that a human can take, go for it. As long as that's what kind of story your group wants to tell. I don't know, man. I think they shouldn't disregard or discard an entire setting just because there's some stuff in there that makes a couple people get squeamish. It's I don't know. I think that's kind of a waste of an idea, isn't it? Maybe misunderstanding, but isn't the Astral Knight not using armor the same vibe as monks and barbarians not using armor? Yes, very similar, Soja. But the problem is that they selectively use armor. they selectively use armor that covers certain parts of their body for abstract reasons. But yeah, they don't use a lot of armor, because like the thing is, a monk, you can say, well, the monk doesn't use any armor. The barbarian like puts a loincloth on. It's like, but the Astral Knights kind of use this weird in between, which is why I get the confusion that we can't. It's easier to say they don't use any armor than, well, they use some armor, but not like the armor that you would think is the most functional, maybe, for abstract reasons. But a lot of that I want to talk about today. I want to figure out the exact mechanics for how and why they're like, basically I want to say, here's the way it works narratively. How do we make this into rules, you know? 80s and 90s drow culture had like caste system and gender specific rules in the drow culture plus slavery stuff. Oh yeah, it was like the matriarchy thing, right? Wait, was that the reason they want to throw away drow? Is because the whole like matriarchy, caste, whatever? Like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think that it's better to like discard things that people think are like problematic in today's like culture, or do you think that there's like enough maturity amongst like, because like the way I see it, I don't want to just shit talk, because I think there's probably a valued opinion, but I think that almost like when you take away certain ideas from storytelling from players, you kind of like I don't know, assume that they're not mature enough to like, I don't know, to like tell a story or to handle an idea or whatever. It's like, you don't want to have that idea in your game, just don't have it in your game. Yeah, they're evil, they do evil things. All right, what do? I don't know, evil shit. Well, do they enslave the local population? Oh yeah, they do that. Oh, but I can't stand that. Okay, then they don't. They just do other evil shit. Like, it's up to you, man. You can figure it out. Like, I don't know, man. It feels a little insulting to your average like adult human that they can't have like a dark concept in a fantasy universe. You know? That seems to me very much like it's limiting the scope of what D&D fantasy can be. And some people don't like dark fantasy. That's fair. I know tons of people that want to live in the bright and shining world of like Azeroth, where everything is beautiful and shiny, and the evil villain wants to burn the whole world with his shadow flame, and you're gonna go to the magical tree in the Emerald Dream and stop him with all your friends standing next to each other. It's like, fine, go, like, let that person have that adventure. But also, there's Diablo, you know, where like blood sacrifice and like, you know, etching like evil diabolical runes to summon the lords of hell into the world to do terrible things to humanity and invoke pain and suffering. Like, that's all can also exist. I feel like in D&D, it's kind of the great thing about D&D is that you used to be able to have all these different genres and all these different types of fantasy together, and you can just pick and choose where you want to go. And like, I think that you could say, yeah, man, here's Dark Sun. It's not for everyone. It's pretty dark, but if you want to play it, here you go. You know, and then here you go. Here's Wildmont. It's pretty shiny and clean. And it just kind of feels weird to like remove one altogether because some people don't like it. You know, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason to it that I'm just not picking up on. But I feel like this. That's what I like about D&D is there's room for everything for everybody. And I'm not a person who likes particularly dark, you know, themes in my fantasy. I'm not a person who like has gratuitous details, whether it's gratuitous acts of violence or whatever it is. I just kind of move past it in a lot of ways, because yeah, sometimes some things make players uncomfortable. Other players like when you describe, you know, the intricate way in which a demon you know, bursts through the soul and physical form of a human cleric in the temple of whatever, you know. Put caveat boxes to ward off the cancel hand that needs it. Yeah, I think so. Acknowledge it's evil and not every campaign needs that detail. Move on. Yeah, that's probably the way I would handle it. You know, or like, yeah, I mean, you just kind of say like, this is a dark game, man. This is a dark world. This is a dark setting where dark shit happens. Like, if you want that, great. And if this makes you uncomfortable, you probably should stay away. But like, I don't know. I wonder if it's not safe enough for wizards to do that. Maybe modern wizards can't. I don't know, man. Is class building going well? Hopefully, Nick. We haven't really dived into it yet. We're just chilling. We're just still in the intro, I think. Honestly, all campaign books have content warnings. I mean, whatever. Sure. I don't know. Dude, Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know about content because like you never know what content's gonna be upsetting to somebody, right? There's certain things that are like pretty clear, you know, but like a lot of other stuff. Because like I've been doing this for a while, man. And I've had people criticize certain aspects of Eldara, you know, that I think are that most people think are absurd. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize somebody would be upset about that, you know. So. What's up, Steel? She covered the basics like this contains child abuse. She definitely mentioned it before someone reads it. Yeah, I mean, depends. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know what the list looks like for most people. This as to what they find too dark for, you know, for their fantasy. So how about dark settings that WotC won't publish like Dark Sun? I didn't realize that they said that because I brought up that I thought Dark Sun was awesome, and I forget who pointed out that WotC said they would never do a modern setting for Dark Sun. I don't know. Not even just stay away. Just say if you need no slavery, then just say imprison people forever and other alternatives. Even that feels a little bit like Session Zero-y to me. You know, I'd rather just say, put a caveat at the beginning of the book and say, look, this is a very dark setting. You know, like a viewer discretion advised kind of thing at the beginning of a 90s TV show. And just be like, have a little note from the author that just says, this is a very dark setting. And the fantasy described is for a specific kind of, you know, storytelling. And some people will find it upsetting. So proceed with caution and alter as you wish. And I think that's enough. I don't think you need to cover like specific things. Oh, this has to do with child abuse or slavery or imprisonment or torture. Like I just think like trying to figure out a list of those things for your setting that like might upset somebody is like a little weird, you know? Because it's like, what does that mean? What is the metric for like torture? It's like ooh, this terribly gratuitous scene where you're reading it, you're like, ah, God, stop. Or is it like, oh, the bad guys got the information, you know, via pain. It's like, oh, that's too much. Like, I don't know. You don't know what'll be too much for somebody. I think it's just a general advisory of like, this is pretty dark, man. Would be a better way to handle it. But I'm not going to publish any really dark fantasy, like dark fantasy. So I probably don't really need to worry about that, but I don't know. I wish Wizards would show some love to those settings, but I guess there's always part of the thing though is there's always 4th edition. There is a Dark Sun campaign guide book. It's not available, and because Wizards isn't printing it, I think you have full rights to pirate the fuck out of that. You know, I'm always the kind of guy that says like, look, if you can pay for it, if it's a published product, you should probably pay for it. But if a company won't, like, there's no way to play a game or there's no way to get a book, like, find some PDFs for that shit, man. You know? Imagine you talking about the X cards some people use. Yeah, I don't know. I've never used that in my games. So it's true. 4A pirating is easy enough to do and convert to 5e. Yeah, I suppose. But part of the point I was trying to make, yeah, I mean, you're right, L2. Part of the point I was trying to make was just play 4th Ed. Like, I don't know if you know, like I think all the D&D editions are really great and have their own charm to them, and some people really like 5th edition, but I don't think that 5th edition does anything that 4th edition doesn't do, if that makes sense. In a lot of ways it's just a different way of handling it. Or 3.5, like bro, there's a great Dark Sun campaign guide for 3.5, I think. I'm pretty sure. Or 3.0, one of those two. I don't know, some ancient boomer D&D module. Anyway, today we need to figure out and build the Astral Knight. So, like I said, we are going to do our absolute very best to try and fit D&D into the Astral Knight, not the other way around. So, I want to talk a little bit about what the Astral Knight does, a little bit about what they do, and we'll figure out how to build the D&D mechanics around that as opposed to fitting into D&D. So, like, here's an example of something that might be a challenge is like, do we give the Astral Knight spell slots, right? When basically they spell cast with their weapon. Like, how do we handle that? Is there a system in D&D we can currently use to like easily and quickly describe to players in an efficient way how this works? Like, imagine you had to describe spell slots to somebody every single time. You wouldn't do that. There's like an efficiency in spell slots that's like pretty nice, right? Yo, thank you, fair lady, for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the guild. Spell points. Yeah, spell points could work. I think that I wanted to sort of use and describe a bit of a newer system, because the way the Astral Knight works, here is the core important mechanic of the Astral Knight. The Astral Knight is a melee caster that does not cast any spells that doesn't have to do with augmentation of their own abilities, right? There's no ranged firebolt, fireball, beam spell. There's no, you know, turn them into a newt spell. Everything they do is based around their own augmentation of their abilities, right? Key points, sorcery points. Yeah, there's a whole list you can get into, but each of them has slightly different use for it, right? Astral points. Yeah, astral. Well, we'll probably use the rune system. We'll probably use runes for both the Astral Knight and the Astral Sage, just to keep some sort of consistency between the two of them. So it'll be astral runes. The runes are very important to the both classes as far as thematically, so we're gonna make that work. And I think a rune slot, if you describe it like a spell slot, so like here, like, okay, so here's like a place that I think I differ from a lot of the like professional homebrewers, is that a lot of people will say, isn't this just a reskinned whatever? And my whole point is, yeah, it is. Aren't runes just a reskinned this or that system? And it's like, yeah, but that skin is important. The reskin is important for thematics. So if we're building something similar to an existing system, that's fine, because I think people will like understand it, and they'll understand how rune slots work pretty quickly. But as an example, so the Astral Knight can basically, they're a melee fighter. They have a strong auto attack. They have a strong, you know, movement, defensive, whatever. They're a little bit tanky. They are your general melee enjoyer. What makes them unique is that their spell casting is all based around their attacks, right? So for example, some attacks, okay, you can let's describe it like this. So you can augment your attacks and your abilities to either do more damage. You read it but won't say it. I did read it. You can augment your own attacks to do different effects to change the way you're attacking in combat, or to increase your power. So on a very basic level, you can spend a spell slot. I read mostly everything in chat at the very least, Atari. I just don't get a chance to respond to all of it, or I choose not to because some of it's stupid. Anyway, you can augment your attacks, let's say do more damage. So you attack and you do 2d6 more damage. Great, that's a very easy way of putting it. You attack and you spend a rune slot and you get +2 armor until next turn. Cool. These are very basic ways of, yeah, okay, this makes sense. You can choose to do more damage a couple of times a day. You know, you've got the option to, if you really need to hit something very hard. It's your basic Divine Smite. You know, you've got a couple uses of it every day. You've got a couple of you know, you can spend it here and there. But there's also some different like augmentations that I imagine. So things like, one of the very earliest augmentations that I came up with was the ability for you to phase your blade into the sort of, you know, an astral, ethereal, I don't know, not plane, because there's no planes in Eldara, but basically you can phase your blade out of reality for a bit, and you can make it attack. And the attack will deal damage to like spectral forces. It'll deal damage to like organic material. It'll cut through a human, a pig, a wolf, a steak, just like it was a regular blade. But it'll pass through solid material like metal, wood, armor, whatever. So it's the idea that you can ignore armor for an attack, right? So if you're really, you know, you come across the big brute, he's got heavy full plate on, the big shield, you can make an attack and bypass his armor, right? He doesn't have a dex bonus, so you're basically auto hitting, just slicing right through him and dealing damage. That kind of augmentation, right? I want to have a series of interesting ways that you kind of almost wish, like a wish list of like, hey, if I was this cool like astral, you know, knight that could do things and change my blade. Everything around the Astral Knight centered around their blade. They are a weapon focused on a relic based class. Mechanically, thematically, everything is based around everything to do with their weapon, their sword. And so I want everything to reflect, like, okay, all these different attacks and interesting ways that you can build your character out. Like, you know, we also talked about one where you can make a slash and it will cut, you know, it'll like cut the air in any, you know, vicinity around you within 30 feet. So you can basically make a ranged melee attack. Things like that, like cool ideas that we can spend your runes on. And I don't know whether or not we want to prepare them like spells. I think I want to have them prepared like spells. I don't just want to have I want to have a giant list of cool things you can do that you kind of have to prep for, right? For based on what you're going into. Because I think that a lot of times generality is favored in 5th edition. And I like the idea of specificity being really powerful, you know, where it's like, oh, we're going into the spirit crypt. All right, I took 5 runes of bonus damage to spirits. And it's like, holy shit, our Astral Knight is just wrecking face. And it's like, well, yeah, I think that kind of gameplay is cool. Recently ordered a set of dice. I want to play Cypher system with my friends. Wait, what is Cypher? Cypher, wait, that rings a bell. Special runes for taunting damage. Can you elaborate? Because that sounds cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. I know you want an Eldar MMO, but any true franchise will eventually have a battle royale. What will yours look like? We have talked long at length, Ashy, about the D&D battle royale that I want to run. You absolutely know what the Eldar battle royale would look like. It would be like 100 players and like 40 DMs, right? And just running like multiple players through the map. You'd have like zone-based DMs that would like whenever something's happening on their zone of the map. You know, yeah. How about nebula auras? You can expand the rune slot that will emanate nebulas around you that can give you or an ally a stat boost for a day. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting idea, is the idea of passive buffs. So you can spend a rune slot to do certain passives. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't know how it would work mechanically, but I like the concept, you know. It does spark the question though, how much do we want the Astral Knight to be able to augment themselves and the area around them versus just their weapon? Because the more we have, it's trade-off. The more augmentation we have for just the weapon, the more we secure the class fantasy. The more we have augmentation of themselves, the more we sort of move to mechanics, I think, you know. Tricata technique, yeah, all right, chill Star Wars, Andy. Yeah, exactly. We're honestly, Dashto, I want to take some inspiration from a lot of lightsaber powers from Saga Edition. So if you have any good ideas, let me know. Like Eldritch Invocations, kind of. So 3.5 battle maneuvers. I mean, battle maneuvers were a little more general, right? They're doing like battle maneuvers were more like even 5th ed battle maneuvers are more about like, oh, you taunt the, like, they're inherently martial, and I want them to be inherently magical, right? Like there's a battle maneuver for like all right, you slap the guy on the top of the head, you scratch your nuts, and then you throw a wad of toilet paper at him, and you're like, what did I just do? I don't know. I'm a fighter. I just read what it did on the sheet. These like inherently martial things you can do. I want the rune system to be inherently magical shit, like really cool things that really lean on the fantasy of you are an astral warrior that can pull in the forces of the astral aura into you and augment magic in almost any way possible. Which I guess we should outline what the astral aura magic, sort of what box we're working in. Would the swords be sentient? No, I don't like the idea of sentient weapons. It is a very important steel that is made, and the astral steel is made in one place in Teleria. And now you can change this however you want for your homebrew game. Astral steel could just be rare or expensive. But thematically in Eldara, the Astral Knights come from one place, one temple, one order, one organization, and they have one forge. And that's part of the importance of being an Astral Knight, is you are a unique practitioner of this art. So it's not just a general thing that like you can have Astral Knights coming up in every town. It's supposed to be a rare and important class. You stand on top of a curtain and will taunt your enemies until they run away. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, that's using the powers of the Astral Aura wisely. I'm down. With a battle pass, yes, we can also add a battle pass in to make more money. That's an important thing too. We'll lock all the cool rewards into the premium tiers. So we'll have the first little feature that is explaining the importance of the weapon. Yeah, I mean, good question. How do we communicate that to players? You know, that's partly what we need to figure out today. I'm thinking of second edition. I'll ask my friends about it and send you a DM later. Sure, yeah. You say it comes from the weapon, so the player needs to be in a particular radius of the weapon if it's expanded on ally. Yeah, and also what connection to the to the weapon, like, man, the biggest one that we have talked about already is, do you require your weapon or not? And I think I want to have some balls on this one and say, yes, you require this weapon, not a magical weapon. Oh, but Evan, what if I loot an axe of +3 greatsword, you know, fireball? Too bad. Too bad. I'm sorry. You know, so your weapon needs to progress in a satisfying way that feels like you are not behind. So like at a certain level, your weapon becomes a plus whatever, a +2, a +3, a +8, +12. You know, only if you do the premium battle pass. Make an astral forger artificer archetype. An astral forger artificer. Yeah, I mean that's interesting. Like the astral smiths are. There is a sense of within the order an archetype of an archivist and tinkerer that we can kind of explore at some point in time. But I don't know. Weapon's that important, then absolutely it has to be that weapon. Totally cool. So the criticism for that, L2, is what happens if you lose your weapon? Do you make a player absolutely useless without their weapon? And so I kind of want to have like some rules around it. Like it's harder to disarm you. You can call your weapon to you if it's within like 30 feet or whatever. Like you can throw your weapon and then call it back to you, like kind of Thor's hammer style. But I don't like the idea of you just appearing your weapon in your hand, because my impression is that when you do that and you just say like, oh, it's just like my Eldritch whatever Hexblade weapon where I can call my weapon and boom, I've got my weapon. It takes away some of the importance of the weapon's permanence in the world. It's no longer an artifact in the world. That part of your story, your character's story, is that they protect this weapon. This weapon is their life. They will guard and protect this weapon. They sleep with their weapon. They don't, you know, they go to the Rohan the Rohan King's chamber, and the guard says, your weapons please, and the Astral Knight says, no, you don't get it. No, fuck you. There's no like, oh, we're in prison, that I summon my weapon to me so I can get out of here. No, if you get your weapon taken away from you. Now I think that I'm like, in your average player's game, I think they're probably like if I give the Astral Knight to the world and people want to play with the class, I expect people will say, because I will say, I'll probably put something, a caveat in here for DMs that says Astral Steel can be as rare or common as you personally want it to be. In my world, if you are on the other side of the world and you lose your weapon, oh boy, you better figure out how to get a new one quick, and there will be ways within the game to sort of do that. There's support for the Astral Knights, supposedly, but in a regular game, I think a lot of players are pretty whiny about that, and they're like, I don't want to lose my weapon and be useless. So fine, okay, you just go buy a new one at the local blacksmith that has an Astral Steel sword. Okay, who cares? It's made of the right material, you know. But I don't like the idea of you imbuing your powers onto a weapon of like, oh, I got a cool axe, or like, hey, Evan, I want to play with a Khopesh. I think Khopeshes are cool. I want a giant two-ended Khopesh. That's crazy, bro. They don't make Astral Steel Khopeshes, you know? I think that it's important to have a certain like rigidity to remember. If you want to do that, you can be the special rainbow sunflower unicorn, but to design the class specifically as it is, we need to create some currency. We need to build some currency. And I think that having the individual weapon be an important part of it is something that I really don't want to move on unless somebody has a really good reason as to why we can or should. Or add enhancements with side quests and events. Yeah, that'd be cool, actually. You know, upgrading your weapon. Have a ritual to resummon the weapon they lost. I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of you being able to summon your shit from across the world. Nope, you lose your weapon. That's an important... You got to go on a quest, man. It's a constantly physical thing. This weapon is your life. Yeah, totally. They read the runes on the weapon when they're sitting on the toilet and forgot their phone. They could, you know. I don't know if it's that interesting, but they could. Ask the Astral Knight. I don't know. I'm just the writer. Any Marine or soldier will understand the importance of the sword. We all trained to never lose our M16. And I think that that's like a concept of like that seems mechanically annoying, but I think thematically it makes a lot of sense. It's like you go through this ritual, you become an Astral Knight, you are trained as an Astral Sage, and then you take the path of the Astral Knight. You are an elite individual that is trained and indoctrinated into this order, and you are eventually found worthy of Astral Steel. And they spend a lot of resources on forging this Astral Steel sword just for you, and they hand it to you and say, don't fuck this up. And I think that that's a very powerful idea. And I don't like the idea of just somebody whining about like, oh, what happens if I drop it off of a cliff? I hope you took the recall for the day. You know, I don't know. So yeah, I think that's something that that is easy to criticize, but I think it's a strong piece of class fantasy where we say it is this weapon. It's not a weapon that you imbue runes onto. It's not a weapon you can summon. It's this weapon. You drop it out of the airship. We'll see what happens, man. But the one thing that I will sort of say that I kind of like the idea of is a bit of a compromise, a bit of an assistance, is that maybe perhaps you know what you have like an internal like radar for your weapon, right? Like you can like directionally like, you know, figure out like my weapon's that way. Like that, I think I might be okay with that. Because it assists in the quest process of like, you kind of always know where it is, right? So like if your weapon is on, you know, someone somehow steals your weapon in the middle of the night, you know, you like get this like flicker and wake up and you feel your sword moving away from you, and you can kind of like, oh shit. You know, I kind of like that idea. So if you lose your weapon, it's easier to go find it, to reclaim it, because you just have an astral connection to it. You know what direction it is at all times. Like, I kind of like that better than just saying you can summon back to you. Cliff diving, yeah, we're going down, man. I hope you brought rope. We have a 3rd level Astral Sage before switching over to Knight. Should that be mechanic to make it more special? I want to make it a completely different class as opposed to a subclass, because I don't like the idea of saying like, oh, you replaced your spellcasting with astral whatevers and this and that. Like, I think it's, I get where you're coming from, and I like the idea of you needing to specialize. But I think that, you could convince me of making the Sage and the Knight subclasses of like an Astral Adept. But I think for ease of use right now, for me, it makes more sense and is easier to me to build 2 different classes that don't have subclasses. They're just straight classes, progressions. It's just easier in my brain to like build them out. And then if we want to later on to like merge them into an Astral Adept and like add a 3rd thing, the Astral Tinkerer, the person that builds the machinery for the Knights and the Sages, or an Astral Forge Master or whatever, then that's cool. But for now, I think I want to design 2 separate classes just because I'm dumb. So I need to make this easy on myself, right? Hot take, the returning enchantment should be available for armor. How am I supposed to throw the smaller party members? Should you be able to return the gnome when you throw the gnome across the chasm? Thematically, I say no. I like the idea if you are the barbarian with 20 strength and you pick up the gnome and you attach the grappling hook to them and you throw them across the chasm and you miss. I like the idea of they just fall into the abyss. They just fall past Gandalf and the Balrog. They're like, yo, sup? You know, they fall straight into like a Rick and Morty episode or some shit. Like they just fall forever, man. You know, I like it. I'm here for a tuning fork for your weapon. Yeah, I think that's okay, right? Because even if you can always sense where your weapon is, it still makes the weapon individually important to the world, right? The real question is how much of the Astral Knight's power do we lock behind the weapon versus their own physicality. right? Like, I think the idea of saying that the Astral Knight can augment themselves as well, it does take away from the importance of the weapon a bit, but I kind of like the idea of it, right? Like, there are certain powers that are definitely and directly, like when you slash with your weapon, you can add, you know, you deal spectral damage, and you'll deal damage to you deal magic damage to whatever, you skip armor, all that kind of cool stuff. But I think we can do powers that are general Astral Knight powers that are like, it just, how it reads is different, where it says like when you make your next attack, you can augment yourself to like swing with the power of a dying star and some shit. I don't know, man. And you add 2d8 plus your constitution modifier to that attack. So at the very least, an Astral Knight can pick up a longsword and still say it's go time, right? So you don't have access to your coolest, most specialized abilities, but let's say you lose your weapon's in, you know, you tuning fork your way to a hideout, and you and the party are like, is it in here? And you're like, yup. And they're like, all right, let's go, you know, and you bust down the front door and you see all these bandits, and they all just like draw their cutlasses and shit and whatever you expect bandits to do when you bust down their front door, and the Astral Knight can still, you know, show up. That's important, I think, is that the Astral Knight can still play the game without their sword, right? I just don't want him to have access to the coolest, you know, craziest shit or whatever. They, like, after all, the Astral Knight, the original concept of the Astral Knight, they have these giant astral runes tattooed onto their bodies, right? So they do have some level of augmentation to themselves. It's not just their weapon. Imagine if you lose your weapon in the middle of a boss battle, and then weeks later the DM is like, you feel familiar pain, your weapon is nearby or something. Yeah, that, sure. I like that kind of a thing, you know, or like, or whether it gets stolen or eaten, or because like I want Astral Steel blades to also be something that you can kind of invoke, or sorry, that, yeah, no, because I was gonna say that I can invoke, that a person running a game in Eldara could invoke, and it's an important thing. You like you say this villain, this crime lord, you see them draw an Astral Steel blade. Now you know they're not an Astral Knight. They're like this like pudgy, balding old man, you know, that has like gold teeth and shit, and like does not evoke the Astral Knight whatsoever. And you're like, okay, cool. So this is an Astral Knight, but they still have an Astral Steel blade. That's some shit, you know. And definitely the order of I kind of want it to sort of be like Beskar, where Astral Knights consider Astral Steel to be the property of their order, and when a knight dies, there are quests to retrieve their weapon. Right? And so if they have to bust down the door, if you take an Astral Steel blade and you're like, I should probably find a knight and give this to them. And you do, they're like, hey, the order will reward you. But if you're like, cool, free blade, I bought this at an auction or something, you might have like 3 knights busting down your front door, killing your cronies, and coming looking for their brother or sister's weapon. The people should be able to spend hit dice to imbue a new sword in emergency, mainly because I think it's good drama. And like, there's a great case for that, but it still takes away, in my opinion, it takes away, like, okay, so it takes away from the permanence of the weapon, the importance of the weapon itself. What we could say, like, an interesting compromise could be something along the lines of regular steel can't contain astral powers. So yes, you can imbue a rune in an emergency onto a regular weapon, but it is unlikely the weapon will survive for a second attack. So like, there could be some like, you know, small, I don't know, maneuverability with these rules in there, but it needs to make sense narratively first, and then we'll make the rules in D&D apply to it. Like, honestly, I think one of my hottest takes for all of D&D world building is that, or D&D design, sorry, not world building, but D&D game design, is that in every game, I think it's very obvious that there's a concept of gameplay first. That whatever you're doing in the game, nothing should upset the gameplay for any reason. So when you play an MMO, Elden Ring, Lies of P, I don't know, Baldur's Gate, then nothing should upset gameplay first. But actually, I think that in D&D, it's a bit more complicated. I think it's vibe or narrative or theme or experience first. And so I don't mind if the gameplay needs to serve a different idea sparingly. And that's why I'm trying to figure out what level we can kind of adjust the knobs here to make it fit. Weapon sense could be another thing, like tremor sense or blind sight. Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually. Especially maybe if you could sense other astral steel blades around you too. I wonder that maybe we make it astral steel weapons, or if it's your own. Maybe a bit like Paladin, have some cool spells, but not access the whole Wikipedia spells. Yeah, so like self-augmentation spells. So you can still punch someone really hard and deal an extra 2d6. But you can't, you know, you can't use your cool suite of badass astral steel weapons. So, do Astral Knights have to have swords, or could one of them have a flail? Thematically, the order, and like, look, if you want to play this in your game and you're like, I don't want a sword, I want a flail, that's sure, you can be the special rainbow kitten unicorn. We've talked about this, but how you have to let players selfishly pick whatever they want. So if you're playing in my game, you're like, Evan, I want to be an Astral Knight, but I want an Astral Axe. It's like, okay, you know, for example, we like this is the first Astral Knight that I've made for a friend. Was we were working on this is the unfinished sketch of Runa for Fishy. So this is Fishy's character. She's an Astral Knight and she has a spear. This is not a thing in game, but I still let her have a spear because she wanted a spear. Because I think there's no harm in letting a player be the special unicorn they want to be in the story. But if we're designing the order itself, we need to design it with rules and restrictions and rigidity to build the currency of what an Astral Knight is. They need to look and feel a certain way, and part of that feeling is they are knights that have the traditional Arthurian longswords. So that's very important, is that every Astral Knight you encounter that is an in-world amalgamation of Astral Knight, whatever it is, an Astral Knight that you meet in-world, they will all have a certain restriction, a certain vibe, a certain whatever. If you want to tell me the story of the Astral Knight that got a, you know, a six-headed flail, sure, man, whatever. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. Grief's lightsabers, all right, not that crazy. All right, that's, yeah, we don't want a four-armed crime boss wielding astral steel like that. The cool Russian voice Grievous from the cartoons. Oh man, the original one, yeah, that was good. You touch the blade, and you start crying from the beauty of it. Yeah, basically, the blade sings with the harmony of the astral aura. So part of trying to figure out what the Astral Knight does is talk about the astral aura, right? The astral aura is a magic power that the astral sages tap into, which is basically an aura that permeates the entire universe. It is magic in its purest, untapped, unscented, unfiltered, uncolored form, right? When arcane mages derive magic from the ley lines, they know how to pull magic, arcane magic, from the world's ley line to themselves to craft in an arcane way to shoot out magic missile or to polymorph or whatever. A druid knows how to invoke the wild magics of the life of the world, you know, creates itself. The elemental forces of sorcerers. There are lots of different types of magics in Eldara and Teleria that use like divine magic, demonic magic. What is the voltage? Astral magic is just the voltage. And so astral sages are sort of these primordial casters that use magic in its most pure origination way. If we're thinking back to magic that was like start of the cosmos type magic, it's like astral magic. And so the ancient Eldari, who were this like race or civilization, it's abstract as to what they were, who built the realms of Eldara, more or less, and left behind these massive monuments, these large rune sites of like these large ringed runes that can be found all over the world. The rings can be found floating in the skies. I mean, this is the logo of Eldara. These rings are runes. They're a language. They're you know, the astral sages sort of like emulate these rings by creating their own sort of like Mandela style astral sage runes to describe and utilize this power. But it is magic that is sort of uncolored as to the different divine, demonic, whatever, fell, any of the magics you can think of. So the way an Astral Sage will use this magic is kind of like they're using like, it's like only your imagination can limit what you can do, but you have no idea how to do these things. So you have a more limited spell book, right? In theory, if you could master the Astral Aura, you could do anything. But mastering the Astral Aura is like lost knowledge to the ancients. And so Astral Sages are kind of like trying, that's why they're sort of like also archaeologists and scholars. They try and find and discover more runes, like learning a new spell from an ancient rune that hasn't been introduced to the world yet. It's like a big deal. It's like a cool big story arc that happened in one of my games. Ella is like trying to decipher and trying to translate and decode and figure out a spell that she found on a lost runes that she had no idea. She's like, I have no idea what the spell does. I'm just going to try and master it. And then once she learns it, then if she chooses to share it with her order, then Astral Sages from that point on know how to use that spell, whatever it is. So it's almost like very much trying to find lost knowledge and lost tech or whatever. And so the knights use this aura, but they kind of don't need to use the big, like, they're not worried about the big, like, oh, this is the harmony of the universe. They're the practical users of this magic for combat within the Astral Sage order. So they care about what astral magic they can use that augments themselves, right? But it's still that idea of you can kind of do it. We're not limited by this idea of thematically divine like a paladin, or thematically fell like a warlock, or thematically, you know, arcane like a sorcerer or wizard. We can kind of do whatever we want. There could be like weird, cool, healy magic, shieldy magic, you know, elementally magic. It all kind of be reskinned to fit within this kind of like general astral aura of magic. So we can kind of be really, really creative, I think, in what we can imagine would be a cool thing that if you're a wielder of this like untapped magic, what's a cool way that we could have learned how to use this magic that would augment us, you know? So like being able to phase in and out of existence, being able to teleport, being able to you know, to heal, to deal damage, you know, to whatever. Like I could imagine that you could learn a heal spell where you literally cut your ally down, and as your blade goes through them, your blade like changes into this greenish golden glow as you slice through them, and it restores and revitalizes them, and like sort of like connects damaged tissue, and like you know, I don't know. Like it's borrowed power from the universe itself. So they temporarily transfer some of their powers to the weapon. Maybe it takes away their AC bonus or spell slot equivalent, like it's their reserve powers, maybe for a minute. Yeah, I like the idea of there being some sort of a consequence to it. Like, yeah, the weapon like breaks in after or whatever. There's like a chance the weapon shatters or something like that. Like there needs to be part of the Astral Steel. The importance of the Astral Steel is that it needs to be that it is required to use. So what's the requirement? Why can't you use regular steel? And I think that's an interesting question to answer for as to why you need this weapon specifically. So whatever non-astral steel blade you enchant, burn up after combat for not being able to handle the astral energies. Maybe. I mean, I kind of like that idea, but I don't know if that's practical or not. Or maybe it's like a interesting, like weird, like sub rule that you could use and invoke if you need to, but not like the norm or whatever. Astral brass knuckles. Now that's the idea. We just get our astral monks that just punch shit with their astral knuckles, or an astral fist weapon or whatever, you know. Fine addition to my collection. All right. Listen, we're not having astral steel General Grievous out here. Although there is on a different world. I haven't decided if they're Telarians or not. There is a race of four-armed people on Everflow, one of the other worlds that Thorkin actually asked for a character sketch that we did for him, a commission for him earlier on in the year. We drew one of these characters for him with four arms. So you could have a villain from a different world, or if we want to make them Telarians as well, sure, why not? With 4 weapons, 4 astral steel blades, wielding them with, I don't know, proficiency and great dangerosity. Just kind of haphazardly throwing them around, I guess. I don't know. Thrykean crime boss wielding 4 astral blades walks up and tries to add more to their collection. Which, all right, I am willing, because the Star Wars prequel memes are strong in this guild. I am willing to add a world anvil entry for a whatever that race is called, warlord, that goes around specifically hunting astral knights to steal their blades. And it'll be a little sub article, you know, reference somewhere deep in the texts. And for those who search it out, yes, it can be an addition to your game. And for those who have no idea what the reference is, they'll think, okay, that's cool. It's just some world building, man. That's fine, you know. And I am fine making it a real entry in Everflow specifically. Okay. Fool, I've been trained in your astral arts by Count Lalaha Morale, not by Lalaha Morale. Lalaha's not evil. What do you mean? She's not. She's supposed to be the confident master that Scarlet always needed in her life. What does Thrykean even look like? Thrykean. Ugh, bugs. Ew. Scuffed wannabe Geonosian. No, I can't use anything. I don't have anything for Eldara that is like Wizards of the Coast property. Everything has to be original because this has to grow beyond D&D. So we could take some inspiration from that though. General Grief is, yeah. Four-armed astral bugs, evil astral knights. So that is an interesting idea though. Like, we're talking about the astral knight and the astral sage orders. There is a storyline somewhere in there. It's not a Tolarian storyline, so I'm not particularly worried about it right now. But like, once the realms of Eldar expand beyond, once the realms of Eldar expand beyond just Teleria, I want to build out the idea of astral sages. That like, there are many astral sage orders on Teleria. They all kind of get along though. But what happens when you go to another planet and you have astral sage orders that really don't get along, or astral sages that are on different lines of a political battle, right? That's the story that I'm not ready to tell just yet, because I find that introducing the concept is easier as just, it's a way for you to interact with the world as opposed to trying to figure out how they're all battling with each other. But there is definitely a reality where these astral sages and astral knights are utilizing powers that are like, so I already alluded to this in one of my other games, but basically there is like forbidden aura to use, more or less. Because like when an astral sage takes power from somewhere in the universe, they basically aim their lens, their astral sage lens, at some celestial body, right? They sort of center themselves with the realms of Eldara, and those celestial bodies can be constellations or nebulas or whatever in the night sky. Okay, and more or less, you are pulling your astral energy from something you don't quite understand, but it's a body somewhere off in the middle of space, and you are drawing that power like light through a lens towards you. And your runes that you use to augment magic act like you know, colored lenses that you shine that light of magic through that change how the magic works. That's how you use, like, you're not you know, the difference between a fiery explosion and a healing spell is like 2 runes, right? And that's how astral sages do it. But there are certain sort of powers in the universe that are like, oh, that nebula is real bad. The energy that comes from that nebula is very unstable and it's corrosive and it like begins to rot away an astral sage. But what if there was an order that figured out how to utilize that magic and protect themselves from that? Like there is kind of like there needs to be a story of a dark side and a light side to this magical order, right? A good and evil application. So that's a story for later down the road. Right now I kind of want to figure out what the Tolarian astral sage and astral knight are like. So making the mechanics work for it though. Oh man. So basically we need spell slots. We need to divide our spell slots between blade attacks and general augmentations, right? General things that you can do as an astral knight to make yourself better and fight more competently versus cool thing you do with sword, right? We're also going to have all Astral Knights pronounce the W in sword just to make people mad, because occasionally I'll just naturally say the word sword and somebody will be, you'll just see first message, somebody be like, what? I think it's funny. So I don't know if we want to write that into canon, but I'm willing to. All right, if we're writing General Grievous in, don't think I won't. Did you make a 4-armed tortoise folk? Maybe one of them that collects astral blades to be a wild villain. Wait, did we? Oh, yeah, we did. What was he? He was just like an anchor or some shit, right? Yeah, that was cool. We could have our tortonoid, or whatever we're gonna call our tortoise folk, wielding astral steel. Yo, what if he imbued his shell with like astral steel or something like that, so he's like immune from the weapon attacks of Astral Knights. I don't know. Okay, so we need to have some kind of mechanic for defenses. So the question is, what is the sort of expected defense of a melee bruiser? Because I feel like they should sort of be at a little bit less tanky than your average fighter or paladin. They don't have the same damage resistance as like a barbarian, so they're a little bit less tanky than that, but I want them to be more tanky than your average rogue or eldritch knight, I think. Because like at eldritch knight, I'd like to see if we can design an average AC. Like figure out an average AC for each class and like try and rationalize what bonuses or strengths and weaknesses come from whatever like general AC, and then kind of figure out where to put the Astral Knight in there and then how to rationalize their AC. Because D&D does a very good job of this. I actually think the D&D armor system is very elegant, and although I think a lot of people criticize it for being like a little unimaginative, it's like, oh, what if I get gloves, or what if I get a hat, or what if I get like a pauldron or like a codpiece or whatever? You're like, what? Where are you getting that from? Don't worry about it, man. It's a weird game. I think that you wish that you could have more customizability like you do in Diablo or an MMO or whatever like that. But I think the way the armor system works for balance is really beautiful and elegant, where you have an AC balanced against a max dex and the drawback of weight. I think it's cool, man. So we kind of need to figure out what the average AC of an Astral Knight, like they should wear what kind of armor, and then we need to figure out how to give them that armor without them having to wear that armor, right? Because mostly I'm okay mechanically the armor they're wearing being decorative for the game. This is a sacrifice we have to make for the game to fit the narrative as opposed to the narrative to fit the game, I think. Higher AC, but probably a beater monk. Yes, somewhere around that range. Welcome back, Steph. Average AC for which levels? Well, exactly. What are the average ACs for like a level? You take a level 5 or a level 1, level 5, a level 10, 15, 20 character. What are the average ACs split among different classes? Right? Like what are we looking at when we analyze these and try and figure out where the Astral Knight can kind of fit into that tankiness chart, and then how to give them that tankiness. Silver medium armor is worse though. It requires 2 attributes, even though you get those, it's still the weakest. Yeah, medium armor is kind of like a weird place. My intuition is that the Astral Knight should have a +3. Should have a static +3, like AC 13 plus Dex. You know, Ranger style. But also keep in mind multi-classing. I took a dip into the Artificer for my Wizard and half plate. Would you allow it for an Astral Knight or make it not work? So my theory on multi-classing, Vidi, is that these classes are not intended to be multi-classed, and I'm not going to really worry about balancing for that as I'm building it. But there are some things we need to worry about or figure out how multi-classing would work off the rip, and I wonder if armor is one of those things, because that's a good point. I think that because mechanically in my game, if you say, hey, I want a multi-class between Astral Knight and an Astral, or and a Bard, it'd be like, do you let your player do that? Or like, do you put a restriction in and say, no, if you take this class can only be this class? You know, that's the story we're telling. I don't know what's a better way, what's a good way of doing it, because you remove, and it could be one of those things where yeah, you just let players go nuts. If they want to be an Astral Knight that takes 1 level in Bard, 3 levels in Wizard, 1 level in Dragon Sorcerer, it's like, all right, fucking, you tell that story, man. But you're the exception. You're the special unicorn rainbow flower, right? Which again, let players do that if they want to be the unicorn of their order. Fine, you know, let them do that. But like, would it mess with it too much? I don't know. I don't know if it balances like every other multi-class does, or if it doesn't specifically. Because like, what are some? Are there any classes that really don't balance for multi-class? I don't know. Probably chainmail and cloth, since chainmail is porous. That'd be the heaviest, like a chain shirt only. Well, I'm more concerned about the actual AC number as opposed to like what it is. So like, ooh, my keyboard's dying. Hold on, let me plug this shit in. It's not long enough. Oh no, we're good. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. Yeah, so okay, armor. So the thing that I'm kind of, my intuition, this might be a terrible idea, is to take like the medium armor progression and just automatically give it to the Astral Knight. Like, oh wait, is that actually a really smart way of doing this? You give them a passive bonus. You give them a passive bonus to their AC. It's based on their astral mastery of the astral aura. And you progress that bonus as if you are progressing medium armor as they level up. I wonder if that's a good way of doing it. You do like unarmored defense type of AC, like barbarian or monk. Yeah. Yeah, because like, what are the rules on this? Monk, unarmored defense. Is there a progression that makes sense to monks? That like progresses it through like light armor or something? Beginning at first level, while you are wearing no armor, not wielding a shield, your AC equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. Yeah. So do we tie it to a skill or do we give it a passive progression? Because I like the way monks handle it, to be honest. Most don't. People pick and choose how far they go with partial class to get the benefits they want. So balancing is relative to the multi-class user's intention. Right. Right, and like the problem is like, so multi-classing into an Astral Knight thematically, mechanically wouldn't really work. It wouldn't be something that you can have access to really as a player. You'd have to like, there has to be like an important narrative. Like, so for anyone who played 3rd or 3.5, there were lots of classes or multi-classes or prestige classes that you had to sort of like, you can only take this multi-class if you have this class, and also you're at the altar of midnight on the equinox of the 3rd sun from, you know, the moon's archipelago of the Drow Empire, whilst naked, backwards, and bent over. Then you can take the, you know, so like there, I'm kind of fine introducing a little bit of that kind of like thematic restriction in where it's like you can start as an Astral Knight, but you can't. It's really hard if you're a wizard to then spec into Astral Knight, because it's usually something you need to be like part of their order for, right? Lowell's average AC is something like 16 that increases over the next 5 levels. Yeah. So I wonder if there is a multi, like if there's a good progression where it's like, if it's better to say it's based off of your stats, or if it's better to say, which naturally progresses as your stats increase, or it's better to say that your armor just is a passive thing that at level 1 it's a +2. At level 5 you that increases to +3. At level 9 increases to +4, and at level 13 it increases to +5 or whatever. I don't know. It's less that classes are balanced for multi-class, just some classes are far more beneficial as a dip than others based off their features. Right. But like there's never a locking of mechanics in 5th edition behind something like saying like, oh, you just can't take this, because everything as far as like wizards classes goes are supposed to be easy to dip into if you want to. That works, and you can naturally have AC without being equipment dependent. Right, but like, what do you think is a better system? To have a natural progression of like, as your mastery of the astral arts increases, while not wearing any armor, or while not wearing armor beyond your traditional order armor, which is described as just being what astral knights wear. There aren't, you know, then you get your AC increases to whatever, as opposed to just saying that like you get your let's say that astral knights are going to be charisma casters or something. Sure, whatever. So you get your dex plus your charisma or something, because those will increase, but they start really high. Then I feel like I feel like monks, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I always feel like unarmored defense on monks and barbarians starts really high and doesn't inch up in a satisfying way. But if we like create more of a dependent like on levels progression, then there's a little more determinism in there, which means that you can't have like it's always fun if you're a fighter at like 3rd level to like find a dragon egg and then like secretly sell the dragon egg for like 1,000 gold and then get half plate, and you're like, oh shit, like, all right, that's crazy. You did that at 3rd level, not like the supposed 15th level you're supposed to get half plate at, or whatever it is. But I think that having it be a little bit more deterministic is like kind of cool in some ways. Passive progression is easier, right? Well, the monk isn't just passive progression. It's passive progression based off your ability scores, right? It's not just like, it's not tied to your level, it's tied to your ability scores. Tied to con, which is often level but rarely maxed. That's interesting. So your AC is based off of your dex and your... Yeah, it'd be kind of fun is if we didn't base off dex at all. If we said that your armor is based off of... nah, you kind of need to do dex. You can't say that strength. They use strength instead of dex. That'd be cool though, you know? So AC 10 plus dex mod plus con mod or whatever your spellcasting score is. Yeah, maybe. It plateaus quick. The rest of you bump up with magic items. Right. I kind of want to be more of a, like I said, more of a deterministic progression than just like you zoop up to the top and then you just kind of, you know, maybe in like 5 levels you increase your AC by 1 or whatever, right? Monks and barbs only progress if you use standard array. There's always min max where you get to the max. What if it was 12 plus proficiency? Wouldn't that get really high? Like, that's cool, but like, this is what I want. I want to think of a creative, like crazy way to do their defense of their basic AC defense, which honestly, I shouldn't ignore it just right off the bat. We still could use a different way of mitigation, right? We could use a different way of mitigation if we wanted to. But I really like, can anyone make a case for not using AC? Because there's these ideas of damage reduction or shielding or all this cool stuff you can do, but I feel like there's a certain amount of currency you can spend when you're getting players to learn something new, and I feel like we want to spend that currency on the cool, offensive, crazy shit a knight can do, and not their defensives. I think the defensives should be as simple as possible, and I think the elegance of just an AC increase, like we're talking about right now. But I just don't want to completely like just pass up on another opportunity without even thinking about it. You know, I don't mind classes give anti-armor bonuses. I always want some sort of armor or clothing loop that helps somewhere down the line. Right. So how do we acknowledge that an astral knight has to, or can be wearing, you know, the astral knight wears their order armor, their astral armaments, but like I want astral knights to be able to change this armor if they want to, right? Visually, however they want. Astral knights in sort of the canonical experience of a knight will all have a very similar looking armor. And if you want to play your knight in a more traditional way, they will have a similar looking armor on their, you know, their appendages. But I'm fine with people changing that. Oh, I got a pair of magic gauntlets. I got a pair of cool kicky boots. Like, fine, sure, whatever. But basically, as long as you're not wearing armor on the major places where you'd want to protect yourself, basically because that somehow interferes with the runes that you have etched into your skin. That's like the lore reason for why. 12 prof maxes at 18. That's not bad. Yeah, it's actually not bad. I don't mind that. Strength for AC be cool. Yeah, okay, well, what is this stupid? If we say that like their AC is based off of their strength, is 10 plus their strength modifier plus like their con or their like charisma modifier. Like that'd be kind of stupid. But I kind of like it, you know? I'm fine doing something stupid as long as it is easy to understand, right? AC strength for AC, it's just clenching against the blow, kind of. Yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it. You're not like being a dodgy boy. It's like how strong can you like resist it? What if the armor itself is what allows the different ability score bonus to AC? In what way? It looks like they're mostly in armored except on their forearms and lower legs. Wait, they're mostly... Oh, yeah, basically. Like, they have this, like, sort of order armor that is, like, traditional to them, but it doesn't... How do we have this plus their runes on there that are etched onto their bodies? You know? How does this describe their defensive capabilities in game, basically? Like, how do we make D&D work for the idea, not the idea work for D&D? That's the important theme that we have to have here, is how to force it into... How to force D&D to serve the idea, as opposed to we're not making class for D&D. It's a little bit abstract, but I think we're getting there, though. 5 of those aren't considered armor. They're just wondrous items, so it wouldn't be dealing with armor issue. That's kind of what I'm thinking, yeah. Do you want them to be single, attribute dependent, or multiple? I don't know, man. Single or multi-attribute dependent. Multi-attribute dependency is always kind of... is always very inelegant, isn't it? But if one of those is strength, then we just have a paladin, which is fine. I'm fine with having a paladin. You know? AC 5 plus strength mod plus dex mod plus con mod. That's that's cool. AC 5 plus strength dex con. Let's go. Let's see it, man. Or how about AC 0 plus every mod? Every mod except for charisma. You add your strength, your dex, your con, your int, and your whiz. You add all of your modifiers for your AC. That's what you get, right? How balanced would that be? In theory, paladins should be kept in check by multi-dependent, but just roll stats and BOP. Yeah, more or less. I don't give a shit. You know, it's just kind of inelegant, but I kind of like that though, right? Keep their AC simpler, but make it a magic item that that's a gauntlet that gives them +2 AC. Yeah, but players are gonna want to like get new gauntlets. It's like you like so Astral Knights are already gonna be ineligible to wear armor, to get cool magic item armor, ineligible to get cool magic item weaponry. You know, so it's like, how do we make getting loot fun? You know, for them. Every mod, even Blaze, every mod, especially in Blaze. Yep. The accounts as a shield bonus, so it can't be stolen by other classes. That'd be interesting, actually. Yeah. It's like while wearing your Astral Steel or whatever. Then we make it more dependent on Astral Steel again. Fuck. Wild charisma, can't they talk their way out of getting hit? Sure, man. Yeah, whatever. Let them use every single modifier to just make their AC based off of that. They're the most well-rounded class. It's like you specialize in being well-rounded. That's you are a jack of everything. Could give them their own special armor. That's true. We could create and invent their own special armor that then you could add to the loot table. But that's really hard to do, I think. Jewelry, maybe ore drops they can augment their limited armor with for magical buffs external to their abilities. So that's an interesting idea. Like what if you like you are required to equip your astral gauntlets and your astral boots, right? You got from the order, from the get-go, you have astral gauntlets, astral boots, and what you can do is that they can absorb magical item effects or something. I don't know. That's again a very inelegant way, but kind of cool, I guess. What if gauntlets need extra runes to grow with your level, so you could find ancient runes that apply new bonuses and take it to the blacksmith? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like really, I want loot to not be. I want Astral Knights to not just be exempt from getting cool loot, you know, because that's like such an important part of a fantasy game, right? Astral Steel Gauntlets provides a +2 shield bonus to AC. Let other classes like Bard covet these too, because it's just cool. Just make it a high rarity for non-Astral Knights. Yeah, I guess. Then Ashley, you have players, they're like, great, I'm making an Astral Knight. You're like, okay, cool. You're like, cool, man. All right, I go into the town and I sell my Astral Steel gauntlets. I sell my Astral Steel boots and everything. I sell all that shit. And you're like, okay, you can sell it for tens of thousands of gold. Great. Level 2. Let's go. Barbarian. All right, I'm taking Barbarian to the rest of my classes or the rest of my, you know, adventure to just see if you can be under leveled by a level, but have all the gold in the world to see if it balances out. I don't know. Like necklaces, tiaras, crowns, rings, body chains, metal rings or bangles. That we decorate them nicely while keeping the flavor. Totally. Yeah, I think that so that's an interesting. So moving away from D&D mechanics for a second, how do we express individuality as an Astral Knight while still keeping within the tradition of their order? What visually, and this is more of a concept art question, how do we describe the characters in a way where they're recognizable and they help build that like currency of like, oh, this is what they are, and this is why they're special and interesting, but allowing for individuality, right? So if we have, I mean, like Ella, or sorry, Ella's character Charlotte, like she has pretty standard Astral Knight gear because Ella always volunteers to have her characters be a standard, right? She's always very okay with me using her characters as the example of what this character looks like, you know, or what this class or whatever looks like. So this is Charlotte is your standard Astral Knight, but I could envision Astral Knights that choose to accessorize themselves differently or choose to, like, you know, like this, like definitely like this, her cloak, her tunic, her tabard, her belts, her choice of pants or whatever, her cloak. All these elements are non-specific to Astral Knights. The only thing that describes the Astral Knight is they wear somewhat gothic looking, like visually, if I'm talking to other concept artists and you're like, hey boss, how do I make more designs for Astral Knights? I would say make sure they're all wearing vaguely gothic, fairly thin, agile looking gauntlets, boots, and no armor in their torso. Give them long swords that are fairly elegant and whatever, and have fun with the rest of the details. So we need to give them an opportunity to get different loot based off of, you know, those other mechanics and whatever. Now trying to put that into D&D as far as a mechanic of like how to make it work for loot, I don't know. Each knight must engrave their first level runes as a filigree upon their armor. That's kind of a cool idea, making them have to like specialize with their armor. Astral Steel nose rings. Yes, that the benefits of the Astral Steel belly button ring is not to be trifled with. So there's a way you could do it mechanically, but doing something similar to what Pact the Blade does. You can transform one magic weapon into your Pact weapon by performing a special ritual. While you hold the weapon, just change Pact weapon to Astral armament. Is there anything that would so with the current rule set of attunement, is there anything that would stop us to make this imbalanced if you were to turn like a hat into gloves? Because I don't think Wizards of the Coast really, you know, there's a couple of items in there that are specific, like, oh, these are gloves of grabby hands. When you grab somebody, you give them a little squish with these gloves. And it's like, okay, it's kind of weird to put that on a hat, but I wonder if you could just convert it into astral. If your astral armaments can just like absorb magic items, you know. Also belts, magic belts, and scabbards, a true EBL style magic item. Dude, the amount of magic belts that an astral... Dude, Astral Knight, here's the thing. In my game, you can wear multiple items in the belt slot. I don't care. You want to wear 3 magic belts? Let's fucking go. Let me see it. What if instead you meld down to an Astral Forge? I like that. I love that idea. It's just, I don't know how... Mechanically, that or thematically, that would be hard with Astral Steel being made in one place in the world, so... Juicy flavor to what the ritual looks like. 100%. That'd be really cool, actually, to be able to absorb magical powers from other weapons and items into your own gear. But like, okay, so then the question is, how much are players going to want to visually change and be distinct with their Astral Knights? Like, if I were to ask you guys, how would you describe your Astral Knight based on what you know? It's like, I can't envision necessarily what you guys would want. Right? Would actually be like, all right, I'm an armored, so I'm wearing a blue princess dress, and I have I have like my hair done up in a little bun, and I have armor on my gloves and armor on my boots, and that's how I would form my Astral Knight. And it's like, wow, that's such an original, interesting Astral Knight. Versus Blaze, who might be like, I have my Astral Knight be a little different. You know, I can't really imagine how people would want to create their own Astral Knights. So I don't know what ways people would want to like sort of customize them, you know? I believe only 4 cared about slot too much. I don't think any rule says no 50 cloaks. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure because like that's the thing that what makes what CJ suggested work really well is just there's still an attunement requirement. Like you can still only attune to 3 items and you're good, you know? The idea would be more that the Astral Knight is converting / concentrating, etc. the new magical armament into an Astral Knight worthy equipment. Yeah, I mean, I love that idea, honestly. I actually really like that. But like the thing that I'm worried about is that people would want to like always be able to have visually interesting or unique, like, well, I don't know. People are gonna make dumb looking Astral Knights, aren't they? If let's say Eldara does real well and I make my Kickstarter and I make my campaign guide, in 10 years people are making they're just making art of their Astral Knights. I'm gonna see some dumb looking Astral Knights, aren't I? Which I can't control, can I? I can set the basics of it, of what the Astral Knight kind of vibe is, but people are gonna make some dumbass looking shit, aren't they? You know? Why can't my Astral Knight be a blue princess dress and have a heavy gauntlets and boots? Because, Blaze, you only play big, hairy, sweaty male characters. You are a video gamer. You play World of Warcraft. If you're not playing a big, hairy, sweaty man with a beard, you aren't playing the game. You don't play MMOs with a girl. You don't need to look at some female character's ass in game, because why would you want to look at an ass all day of a dude? No, you get so much tail. You want to be in game the biggest, strongest, hairiest man in any game you possibly play. That's just because I know you. So, might imagine big gauntlets and boots, sort of like a V approach to it. That'd be cool, actually. Yeah, like the Piltover, Piltover Astral Knight. We have 2 princess dresses and one of you have to change. Yeah, true. I'm sorry if 2 Astral Knights show up with princess dresses, I'm just gonna give it to Ashley. The other person has to change. It's Ashley's branded around it. Ashley wins. You know. I'm sorry, guys. She's already secured the brand of princess dresses in Eldara. People aren't making dumb looking anime Astral Knights. You're doing it wrong. Exactly. Which is why I think that letting them just put on whatever dumbass boots and gloves and other shit they want, it's like, you're gonna get some stupid looking Astral Knights. It's part of... Can't escape it. Yeah, you're right, CJ. We're not even gonna try and... I'm gonna apologize in advance for being at least 30% of those dumb Astral Knight ideas. I want to see it. Dude, one person, before the classes are even released, one person has already drawn an Astral Sage that they want to play, and that's Steel. So like, I'm really like, honestly, there are things in my career that are like moments that I can envision where like I will know that what I'm doing is worthy of doing if these sort of thing happens, right? If somebody who doesn't watch my stream ever decides to play a game in Eldara, I know that'd be a big moment for me, right? If somebody ever wants to bring the Astral Knight or the Astral Sage into their homebrew or their home game with like their DM, that'll have meant something to me. If somebody ever plays their class and makes art of their character, that's gonna be a big moment for me as a world builder. That'd be important ass shit. So I want to see what people do. If people are making art for their Astral Knights and their Astral Sages, that's like, man. So what I need to do is I need to create enough of a vibe, enough art for Astral Knights and Astral Sages to build a vibe, so players can sort of like design based on that, you know. I'm a big, hairy, sweaty, muscular dude, Chad, man, a princess dress. All right, you fucking Final Fantasy 14 players. Imagine someone being these are opera gloves and thigh highs of an Astral Knight. Sure, I guess people are gonna do it, aren't they? Which I can't ever really worry about, right? I have to have the thematic like solidarity of what Astral Knights are built into Eldara, and people are gonna be their own version of it because that's what people do. I'm gonna unit check. I can go downstairs and check on her. I was gonna do that on my break, which is I should probably get new water now because I'm out of water and my throat is drier than the fucking Sahara. It is drier than a camel. So I will be right back. I'm gonna get new water because this is empty. I return. I will officially announce what we're gonna do for the defensive powers for Astral Knights. BRB. All right. Thought about it. Considered it. I think I want to do the static progression of AC. That in the form of a passive or proficiency. I think both are really elegant ways of handling it, and I'm not going to worry about it. The question is, what else do we need to figure out for the basics of a melee class before we can sort of write it in? I wonder if we should use the monk or we'll use the fighter as the base. Let's try the fighter. I think that's a good one to use. So we need to have something movement related, something defensive. And then... oh, we need to design their progression tree for... right, I forgot. Maybe we should just wrap it into proficiency bonus. I think that's just a really easy way to do it. We don't need to have an extra like entry of like, oh, at this level, the bonus increases to whatever. Bonus increases to whatever. Bonus increases to whatever. I think we just wrap it into proficiency. I think Viddy's right about that. Plus 6 at 18th at 17th level is not a big deal. Because if we do... your AC is 10 plus your proficiency, or plus 10 plus your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus. At first level, that'd be like 15. That's pretty high. Maybe not. Maybe not strength. Maybe we just do dex. Weapon proficiencies, if they are melee focused, just give them all. Yeah, I mean... oh... I guess we make them proficient with simple and martial. How does an Astral Knight handle ranged combat? Do they have a bow or something like that, or do they have a cantrip, a ranged cantrip? I think we force them into having a bow or some sort of weapon. 15 is average. Rogues are likely to have AC 15 at the first level. What is our average AC first level here for melee classes? Hold on. Melee classes that people care about. Average level 1 AC for fighter, paladin, monk, rouge. Wait, where's Thorkin? I need the French E. Shit. Rouge. What else is a melee class that matters for this? I think fighter, paladin, monkey, and rouge are probably the only ones that matter. Something like a hexblade though would be a good way of basing it off. Okay, hexblade, hexblade, and what else do we need to sort of think about here for? Oh yeah, well, barb. 16 for fighters and paladins, yeah, because you have... what does that represent? So that represents your... that represents your armor. So generally you might have like... I don't know, a chain shirt plus your dex. So yeah, like 15, 16. I guess it depends also if you're gonna have like, okay, so monk, we're gonna range on the lower end of 14. Rogue will probably range on the low end as well, 14. Barb is like what, 15, 16? Ranger, do we really care about melee rangers? They were chainmail. Oh right, yeah, I guess they would. They would as well. Yeah, fuck. I mean, they could probably afford chainmail. What is the starting kit for? Hold on. D&D 5. What do you get when you just take the basic starting kit for a fighter? Let's see. I actually have no idea. You get equipment, a chainmail or leather longbow. Okay. Chainmail, leather or leather longbow, 20 arrows, martial weapon. Okay, yeah, so you start with chain. Starting at the tab. Oh. Thank you. Okay, there it is. Chainmail, other. Okay, right there. See? Thank you. Boom. All right. Okay, yeah. So the expectation is never gonna be 15. Then our expectation will always be 16 for fighters and paladins. Monk and Rouge are 14 to 15. Our hex blades. What is it? The level 1 AC of a hex blade? Hold on, I gotta consolidate my tabs. I'm gonna put these in here. I'll put this on this one. Okay. Like 3rd level. Where is your hex blade at? The 10th level, your hex blade is more powerful. No, where's our armor? High AC hexblade. I want to see somebody trying to like min-max this shit. Looks usually have leather armor until they pick a better armor, unless they take the armor of shadows. Ooh. If we're optimizing for AC though. Yeah, they pump your dex, wear light armor, put 14 dex in more medium armor. So for average hexblade, if we were going to level them down to 1, would probably be in that 14. Okay, so if we have our... If we were hexblade, our Astral Knight be strength modifier plus proficiency bonus. That would start them off at 16. And they would stay at 16 until 5th level, probably. That's gonna go till level 2, right? I think I'm down with that. Your AC is based off of strength modifier plus proficiency. That's kind of spicy. Like, I don't know, man. I kind of like that. Why is somebody gonna have a problem with this? Why would somebody have a problem with this? Because like barbarians are dex plus con. You're basically always maxing out though your strength, right? Unless we force them into multi-stat. So what would a Astral Knight be? An Astral Knight would probably be a Charisma caster. Because Astral Sages can be a Charisma or Intellect caster. That's like one of the features of an Astral Sage is kind of unique, is that you can actually choose your casting modifier to be Charisma or Int. Which is like kind of a dumb, like weird, like non-important thing, but kind of something that I wanted to have regardless. Influence with Belt of Ogre / Storm Giant Strength. All right, let's set the scenario up here, Viddy. Because you're right. This is good. I asked why, and you delivered. So somebody complains about their Astral Knight wearing a belt of, belt of giant strength, ogre, whatever, belt of big strength. And they complain about it. Do we care?
Or do we make it thematically your charisma? So your defense is your AC is your charisma plus proficiency bonus. Your players will complain it's too many numbers to add together. That's true. So we have 10, which is a double digit number. And we have proficiency, which is a single digit number. Okay, so there's 3 numbers in there. There's a 2-digit number and a single digit number. Then we also have charisma. That's another single digit number. So we have 4 digits. One of them is a 2-digit and 2, and then we have to break this down for 5e players, because 5e players have a real hard time with this kind of math, right? So that's 4 digits to add together. 1 as a 2-digit and 2 as a single digit. Can 5e players do that? Like, I know your average 3-5 player can add together, you know, they can do mental math of multiplicatives, square root factors of prime numbers and shit. But can your average 5e player add 2 single digit numbers with a double digit number? I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's expecting a lot from 5e players, so proficiency has too many letters in it. That's true, man. Shit, you're right, bro. We got to think about here with the average 5th ed player. Does your average 5th ed player even know what the word proficiency means? Oh shit, how do I integrate this with D&D Beyond? 10 plus charisma modifier plus proficiency equals 20 at 13th level and 21 at 17th level. That's not too... Does that feel too high, though? Is that too tanky? At 13th level, you have AC 21. That doesn't seem too tanky to me, does it? Because also here we have, you know, oh my god, you know, we haven't even just talked about yet. What is their hit die even gonna be? Fuck. We haven't even gone over that. Yeah, that is pretty high. But like 12 plus prof, that's not that bad. 12 plus prof is just it maxes out at 18. Plus then I guess you augment it with magic items. You know? Twelve plus prof versus allowing prof plus charisma. What if we do a stat they aren't going to take? So they cast based on charisma, they attack based on strength, and they have AC based on, I don't know, int? Yeah, what if we do that? What if we give them, we say it's 10 plus proficiency plus int. And you're like, why int? Shut up. Don't worry about it. But the highest you can start with is an 18. You can, but you can no, because you can start with 20, can't you? If you have bonuses for it, you have a natural 18 plus you take an 18 in a stat, or you roll 18 plus, then you have +2 from something. From like, I don't know, I don't know what people take. I had a fighter with AC 22 at level 8 with raw build. People always find ways to optimize. I don't want them to be tanky though. Knights aren't supposed to be tanks, or are they? Hold on, because we haven't actually talked about this. Is an Astral Knight supposed? Do we want the Astral Knight to be tanky or not? We give him a higher AC and a D8 hit die. Con-based AC make everyone mad. That's already barbarians. Barbarians are con-based. You definitely start if you roll an 18 to get +2 from racial bonuses. Yeah, exactly. So many people I have talked to get so mad whenever I have mentioned con-based AC. Really? Doesn't the vibe really smashy smashy or swingy dancy? Man. So, Atari, I want to be abstract for a minute here. You are familiar with, I'm just assuming, with Star Wars prequels. Did you watch Ahsoka? Based off the art, they don't seem tanky unless somehow magically achieved or high AC, though. Yeah, kind of. That's what I don't think they should be that tanky. So I just want to make sure. I don't know if I don't think we've ever talked about Ahsoka, you and I. So I want Astral Knights to fight like Anakin does when he's fighting Ahsoka. I want there to be an elegance to it, but a sense of power. You know, I want them to be elegant and dancey and flourishy, but also have a sense of power in their strikes. They're not like a rogue blade dancing with a rapier or whatever, slashing little cuts and stuff. They're not supposed to be like that. They're supposed to be a blend of martial elegance and power, which is why I want them to be a strength-based attack as opposed to a dex-based attack. Because making them a strength versus dex class was was the first thing I had to think about with Astral Knights. So I want them to have that sense, but I suppose it doesn't make them tanky. So yeah, I don't want them to have like a 21 AC seems way too high for them. Effectively half casters. Plus, I'd like to point out the tanky fallacy in D&D is tanks don't really have a role. It's defenders, area AoE, or taunters typically. Right. Yeah, and I guess when I say tank, I just mean who are you happiest putting in front of the boss with the club? That's what I mean by it. Like I understand. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's important to bring up as far as like, you know, correct. But thematically, you have a paladin, you have an astral knight, a paladin, an astral knight, and a warlock hexblade walks into a bar. The bar is actually a 12-foot tall, two-headed ogre with a big club. Who do you want to put in front of it? Who is going to tank the melee range of the ogre? And I think that if we make them a D8 hit die, we make him a D8 hit die. And their AC is it okay? Is 12 plus your is 12 plus your proficiency bonus too little? Put the paladin in the way, since the paladin can tank and do great DPS. Yeah, you're right. We should just all play paladins. If you have the choice, you have an astral knight, you have a paladin, you have a barbarian, you have two players that chose the wrong class. You are right about that. D8 don't tank. Yeah. What if we give them no AC? They have AC 10, all right? But we give them a D20 hit die. How would that balance out? All right, you would have more 8 HP. That you'd be like a blood DK. All right, you'd be like a fucking blood DK in World of Warcraft. You'd be squishy as fuck. You'd be very easy to hit, but you have an HP. Oh, that's right, though. That's a lot of numbers to add for 5th edition players. You can only roll for HP every level. Yeah, all right. Okay. D8 hit die. And... or is that stupid? Do we need to make it a D10? Is there like a chart that I can look at here real quick? I need a chart. I need a visual. Where's our chart? Where's our 5th edition one? 3rd, 4th, 5th. There we go. Okay. All right. So we have at D8, you're gonna fit in line with the artificer. They don't matter because they're not a melee character. A bard doesn't matter again because they're not a melee character. Clerics don't matter because cleric players have no friends. Druid, Monk, Rogue, and Warlock. So you'd fit in with the Druid, Monk, Rogue, and Warlock. The D10 would be Paladin, Fighter. Oh wait, I thought Rangers was D8. Okay, and the Barbarian's obviously D12. So with AC 18 at 17th level, unaugmented by magic items. So let's just say on average 20 with augmentations. Would an 8 be too little? Do we have to put the Astral Knight within the AC of the Fighter, Paladin, and Ranger? If they have less, maybe that's fair, because if they're supposed to be more tanky than a Rogue or Monk, less tanky than the Paladin, Ranger, we give them the AC comparable to a Monk, Rogue, and we give them the hit die comparable to the Fighter, Paladin. That actually might be a good balance. D100 hit die. Ultimate chaos. Blaze, please roll a D100 for me. We're going to see what your Astral Knight has for HP at level 1. What is your Astral Knight's HP at level 1, Blaze? At D100 plus your con modifier, please. We've gone far beyond overthinking. 12 plus proficiency sounds great, especially if you can integrate magic items into the mix. Yeah, absolutely. 61. So you have 61 HP at level 1. Holy shit. That would be fair. You have no AC. All right. All attacks against you automatically hit. But you have 61 HP at level 1. Damn. D10 hit dice with 12 plus proficiency plus optional shield. They wouldn't have access to shields. They would not have access to shields. They wouldn't be proficient with them. Shield bumps 2, forgot about that. Yeah. Actually, would they? I don't know, man. No, fuck it. Oh, yeah, no. So the question is, do we just let players who want to play with shields play with shields? Is that a big ask to just say, nah? I don't think it is. Maybe it is, though. Okay, we're gonna pin shields as uncertain right now. 12 plus proficiency. I love that. I don't know where Vidi got that number from, 12 plus proficiency, but that's such a nice number. Did you steal that from somewhere, Vidi? Do we have to, like, are we gonna be, it's fine if you did. I just want to know what we're gonna be accused of ripping off. Because that's genius. Astral Steel weapons are two-handed. Yes. What if they have access to shields, but then lose their proficiency at higher levels? I just thematically am not sure if I want them to have access to shields, because I want them to be able to... Ooh. What if they can augment their weapon to function as a shield and increase their AC? No shields is part of the flavor? Yes, that's why. It's just part of the flavor. That they use the blade, and they are trained in the blade, and that's how their order trains. There's an elegance and an efficiency to their two-handed swords. The martial art or power is integrated into the flavor of the class. But here's why I'm willing to entertain shields as well, because that's one of those things that maybe you just let players do if they want to. If you want to be a tankier Astral Knight, all right, just put a shield on. I don't care. Like, you'll never meet an Astral Knight in game. I will never have an NPC Astral Knight that has a shield on. You will never see an Astral Knight with a shield. But do we let players do it? I don't know. What part of me is thinking, like, why not? You know, that's fine. You just let them do it. They just have a shield. They just, like, you know, it's okay if they have if you want to go crazy and go nuts, like, and do something completely different, like, kind of go for it, I guess. And they could use a shield, but I don't think they have base proficiency with it. Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's the way to do it. Thought about what max AC would look like for the standard growth, and since I'm playing 18th level right now, I know it's +6, then base max AC for most classes is 18 before items and shields. I like it. I like it. You know? Like, okay. So what? Okay. All right. Hold up. Here's how we integrate the shield debate into okay, hold on. Wait. Everybody shut up. This is actually five head or dumb. One of the two. So in order to not screw with D&D players who don't know how to deviate from basic D&D, we say 10 plus proficiency bonus. Okay? That works. However, whilst wielding your astral blade, the astral blade also functions as a shield, giving you +2 AC whilst wielding it with two hands. And then we remove the complexity, the what ifs, the but I wannas of shields by just saying that while you are wielding the sword two-handed, you get a +2 AC. And it sort of functions as a shield thematically, you know? And then people don't have to figure out, oh, but like it's a 12, it's based off of 12 plus proficiency instead of 10 plus whatever, because that was something I'm worried about tripping people up on. So we just pull that the 12, we just pull the +2 and put it straight into the weapon. So now you're like, okay, so base AC 16 plus me use my weapon is 18. And then we arrive at the same place, but we do it in a way that makes more sense to players and removes the question of shields being like, should we let players or not? And then we don't feel restrictive because it feels like you're giving, remember, always make them feel like they're getting a bonus and not having it restricted, you know? Justifies why it's not 12 and no shield proficiency. Exactly, that's my whole idea. That's either genius or stupid, and I have no idea, but I'll wake up at 3 a.m. tonight with my eyes wide being like, wait, that was the smartest thing I've ever thought about, or wow, I'm an idiot. One of those two things will happen. So good afternoon, Thorkin. How you doing, buddy? Then it's like parrying. Exactly. Then it feels like you're parrying like a Death Knight from Warcraft. It feels like you have a parry bonus in there because it integrates part of your defensive. Thematically, it integrates part of your defensive capabilities into your ability to wield your weapon. How do we do their other defenses, though? Is there some way to integrate their defenses into their weapon as well? Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Dude. What if one of the runes you can spend is as a reaction, you can parry and reflect a spell aimed at you? Or a projectile or something. Maybe that's dumb. I don't know. We'll get there when we get to spells. Yeah, I don't know, man. Why do you mean Paladin never has AC below 20 after like level 5? That's true. That's a Paladin though. That's also an Ella Blackwood Paladin. So, or Amelia Hearthwood Paladin style. Yo. You've heavy armor, no shield. Everyone has heavy armor proficiency. That's true. What if the player demands a double proficiency bonus for AC since the weapon they're proficient with is granting some of their AC? What if the player demands a double proficiency bonus for their AC since the weapon they're proficient with is granting some of their AC? So we will allow for the use of double proficiency, Atari, if they buy the extra, if they buy the premium Astral Steel. Premium Astral Steel can be purchased from the in-game shop for $24.99. So, the spell parry would work at like level 7+. Yeah, I think so. But that would be sick, bro. But how would you word that so that you could parry a firebolt, but not like a polymorph? I don't know. Is there like a different classification for projectile spells versus non-projectile spells? Or do you just say projectile spells? Or just don't, just let them parry anything? So you can like parry a firebolt or something like that. 2,500 bits and you get the expertise AC? Exactly. CJ gets it. See, man, listen, man, my yacht's not as big as Bobby Kodak's yacht. How, as a player in the Realms of Eldara, can you live with yourself knowing that my yacht isn't as big as Bobby Kodak's yacht? You make it a parry ranged spell attack, not a targeted one. Parry. God, you're so fucking smart, Viddy. This is exactly. You may parry and reflect a ranged spell attack. Yeah, and then make the attack roll back at them. Oh my god, that's so good. That's so cool. You get that rune at like, I don't know, like, so I think 7th level is a little bit low. Maybe you'll get it like at like 8. Yeah, actually, fuck it, whatever. 8th level or something like that. You get to parry. You get to spend one of your runes for spell parrying. You just parry fireball or whatever, just swing it back at somebody. Holy shit. If you succeed on a dex/strength save, you successfully take no damage, but you also reflect it back. Exactly. Like it's lightsaber versus force lightning. Well, that more absorbs it. I'm talking about like a lightsaber versus a blaster kind of thing, except the blaster is fireball. Want to bounce spells back at my fuckers I can't reach? I think that's such a cool idea though, right? As one of your runes you can take for the day, you can take spell parrying. The fireball is AoE, firebolt is a ranged spell attack. Yeah, I meant firebolt. Sorry, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I was playing my fire mage yesterday on World of Warcraft, so I was replacing firebolt with fireball and fireball with pyroblast. Warcraft things. Don't worry about it. You're right. Correct. What is the idea behind the actual design of this class? Because this a lot of AC stuff could potentially be related to the core mechanics. A lot of the AC stuff we potentially related to the core mechanics. So the way that the AC, the sort of the concept behind the AC being related to it is just your mastery of the astral aura to protect your body, more or less. Is your kind of supernatural augmentation, your alignment with the astral aura to protect yourself and sort of strengthen your skin, your arms, your armor, whatever it is. It acts kind of as a bit of a shield to you in some ways, but I don't know if that is a good way of handling it, or if we describe it as like your ability to block attacks, more or less. Like I don't know what the best way to sort of describe it as, but I like the idea of it being a passive. Like proficiency is great actually, because it ties in with the idea of it being this sort of passive effect that comes from the runes being etched onto your body. Defensively though, defensive is not or capabilities of the class is not something I've really thought about, which is why we're talking about it so much right now, because most of the class's theme and vibe comes from the idea, the concept of augmenting your attacks like their spells. Augmenting melee attacks as if you have like melee spells is kind of that's the core theme and design of the class, is feeling like you're a melee spellcaster. That's where I want to go. So your defensives need to make you tanky enough not to eat shit for being in melee, but I don't want it to be that you are a proficient, competent like melee tank. You know, what are the other abilities they have? Battle Master style sword maneuvers. How does the rest of the class function? So like this parries could be tied to other abilities. Well, we haven't quite gotten there. The basic idea is that, and we need to design sort of a suite of conceptual spell augments that you can do with your weapon. So a couple of them that we sort of lined up were the ability to sort of swing through armor, to like phase your blade out and be able to ignore armor for a strike, the ability to like sort of do explosive conal damage with an attack, potentially the ability to heal. I'm not sure if that's like if that is a good idea built into it or not, and flexibility is kind of the main thing I'm going for this. So made an Astral Knight Homebrew channel to the Discord. I haven't. No, there's going to be when the basic Astral Knight is ready and Astral Sage are ready, I'm going to create a beta testing. I'm going to create the beta testing channel in the Discord where I'm going to put the Astral Knight and the Sage, and anyone who wants to do some testing or who wants to mess around with it or whatever, can like we'll that'll be not just a channel for posting content, it'll be also a discussion for like trying to figure out how to optimize it. My attacks to you envision Knight getting between Ranger and Monk, I guess 2 max like Ranger Pally. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't necessarily want them to be like flourishing massive, you know, fighter crazy attack abilities. The thing that I have no idea how to balance is how many spell slots they get. Like how many runes? We're gonna call them spell slots, but they're runes that you can etch onto your blade at the at nighttime or at, you know, morning, whatever. We'll figure it out once per day, basically. But thematically, it'll be at night when you're aligning with the astral forces of the universe. And I have no idea what the right amount of spells will be, or the right progression, or how you actually collect your spells. We're still very early in this. I don't have a lot of that figured out or nailed down yet. We're just trying to figure out how to commit the vibe of the class. All right, so defensively, we're gonna have the idea of being able to spell parry is like a really cool way of handling some stuff. It'd be cool or interesting to say that like your proficiency bonus is literally you parrying attacks. But I don't know. I think the +2 that we get from your sword is kind of that concept in there. Not the full proficiency of the full, the full 6 potential AC that you get from that. Magic runes, you could take the Artificer Infusion system. What does that look like? I've never played an Artificer. Proud to say I've completed a random channel. I completely random channel added. People Mind Flayer to their channel. They added People Mind Flayer to their channel. Is this actually a random channel? It's currently in Thorkin, Through the Blaze, Grisfitty, Lord Garthen, Mendari, Ashy of Heart, and Strawberry. Strawberry. Strawberry Shio VT. Okay, I see. I was like, Shihovit? Wait, what? No. Okay, I get it. People Mind Flayer. Excellent. I wonder if this is someone from TDC forcing them to use it. That's awesome. Designed by Evan Blair Art. Okay. That's hilarious. I'm glad to hear that. Go for them. Let me add it real quick. Hey, it's expanding, man. People Mind Flayer. He's getting around, bro. I have some ideas, but that'll be for when we get there. Are we exploring that next? I think so. Yeah. I mean, I want to figure out. So we have like the reason why I want to do defensive and movement and things like that today is because I have a general idea, a loose idea of how the spell casting is going to work, but I had no idea of how movement and defensives would work. When they get added to my channel, I imagine one of your fucking mods did it. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. People Mind Flayer found its way into your channel. Yeah. Oh, it was Blaze? Okay, of course it was Blaze. This is anyone who's a TDC mod that also mods for another channel is obligated to add it to their streamers' channels. It's like the Pog emote that went around. I'll take People Mind Flayer over People Lick. I would too. But now you're tempting me, Viddy, to make a People Mind Flayer emote where his little tentacles are. Never mind. I'm not gonna. I don't have time to animate that. I don't have time to animate that. I'm not gonna have a People Mind Flayer lick. Okay, I don't have time to animate. Yeah, come on, man. No, he's not gonna be tentacling people. You have to do it now. I don't do shit, Bizzo. I don't even have full emote slots for my own channel. Having to animate an emote is gonna be one that's for my channel for my poor subs who still don't have access to full emotes. How many bits? Oh, come on, man. I don't. It's so much work to animate emotes, bro. All right, come on, man. All right, I will try and add it and make an animated version of it. All right. Can I have the file? I'll do it. I'll try because it's a much more simple animation than like other emote animations. So I'll try and do like a People Mind Flayer. But no one can tell Fishy about it, all right? Yeah. Pepe emote of Pepe turning into Pepe Mind Flayer. Yep. You will be banned in most southern states. What? What it? Oh man, he got banned. They said no, People Mind Flayer, get out of here. Not in our state. Well, he'll get in there anyway. People Mind Flayer has ways of getting around. Okay, so anything else we need to think about for defensives? I don't think so. We give them AC 10 plus 2 if they're holding their sword, plus 2, 10 plus proficiency. And we just wrap that into... So I like the progression of that. So
Popio Hamadryas.
all right. All right. I'm gonna do that on stream. There you go. The Hamadryas baboon. I'm gonna rate him higher because of this picture of him confused at banana. So yeah, he was gonna be a solid 7, but we're gonna bump it up to 7.5 just because confused at banana. So good monkey, Duria. How you doing, buddy? Good shit. You proud? That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Yep, you build that much trust at this point. Yep, solid 7.5. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good 7. We'll bump it up to 7.5. What saves do they have? I don't know what saves they have yet. You probably won't give them anything crazy. So I was thinking about, do they get a bonus for their Astral Steel Blade or not? Probably not. Not a lot of classes really interact with their saves. Like, one thing that was interesting about 3.5 class design is 3.5 class design really gave you a lot of bonuses to your saves for thematic things, you know, but 5e kind of treats saves a little bit more. They just wrap it into the stats and say, there you go. So yeah, I don't think I really want to mess around with that or whatever. Strength, charisma, yeah, they're gonna be mostly based around strength, charisma. So I think it's probably easy. Saves or whatever, so defenses or whatever. HP, yeah, okay. I think so. Do we need to worry about movement? Is the only thing I'm worried about. Barbarians just get a base speed increase. Monks have a similar thing. Fighters don't really have much that changes their movement besides just, like, I don't know, is action surge considered? No. A remarkable athlete. I forgot about that. They just jump everywhere. Got it. I don't think we need to give them anything that affects their movement, really. I don't think they need it, to be honest. Please give them movement. Do we let them move 30 feet? Yeah, do we let them move 30 feet? I don't know if we should. We should probably just say their movement is 10 feet. They just walk. They RP walk everywhere. Ability bonuses like advantage on certain checks, XPs on skills. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that actually so far. Yeah, I wonder what we could do that's interesting and thematic for movement. I don't want to do anything that's like too magical, like blinking or anything like that. Rogue movement feels really good. Barbarian movement is very efficient. Monk movement is just efficient. Fighter movement is kind of whatever, actually, when you think about it. So is Paladin movement. You want to give them a special movement? They could get into flying, hover, 10th level to fly with the stars. That'd be kind of cool. They just get a flight speed at level 10. Let's go. Classic edgelord RP walk. Yep. They just RP walk everywhere. We give them that can be how we balance out their D100 hit die. We put the D100 hit die back on the table, but we make them RP walk everywhere. And only give them 10 foot movement. Build into a core mechanic like they get 50 plus 15 feet if they use an ability requiring them to hit something. That's interesting. We could bake that into certain attacks. So like, or certain spells. Like if we're gonna take our basic spell, so the very basic one is you get like a bonus damage on your attack. That's the very most basic. It's our divine strike, more or less. So you get to divine strike something. You just get add bonus dice to your attack, single target, rolls through if it hits, bonus damage. It'd be interesting to build like on certain attacks like that you also gain, like movement speed either towards or in general on that turn. That'd be kind of interesting actually to build that into certain strikes. So certain strikes that augment your basic abilities as to like attack something, like dealing elemental damage or striking through armor or whatever. We haven't really gotten super creative on those yet, but I want to get stupid on those, especially the higher level runes. And I kind of want to have certain abilities, like just like the Astral Sage, take up multiple rune slots. So let's just say you have 8 rune slots. I want there to be certain abilities like the Sage has, where you can spend like 4 rune slots on a single ability, but it's a big one, so you can kind of min-max your fighting that day if you really want to. So we could have movement baked in, because yeah, Zephyr Strike is a good example. I wonder what that would look like for which abilities would get movement on them. Definitely the ability to fight at range, though, is something that they're... So part of movement is also going to be their ability to, with one of their spells they can take or one of their runes they can take, also be able to attack at ranged, where they just make a melee attack and it strikes something within 30 feet or whatever, ignoring their dex, right? Because you can't see it coming. And that's kind of the theme of that idea, is that it just hits their armor. But I don't really know if there's a lot of things in D&D 5e that do that'd be kind of weird wording for that, but I kind of like it. Also be delegated to a subclass concept. Man, subclasses, yeah. I know it might be kind of unsatisfying to build it just as a singular class and have no subclasses. But, oh man, that'd make it so much more complicated if we build in subclasses for the Sage and the Knight. The Sage, I have no idea how to build a subclass into, but the Knight seems a little more intuitive for that. Realistically, how would that work? Because part of the powers of the Knight we'd have to bake into subclass from the get-go if we were gonna, like, I feel like you need to either have an assumption that you're gonna do subclasses off the rip, or you just don't have subclasses at all for like a class that you're building, like custom classes. But like it'd be really unusual to not have subclasses. I don't think anyone makes custom classes without subclasses. So would that be kind of lazy, or do we figure out how to bake the Knight and the Sage into a subclass? Because we could, honestly, we could just make oh man, that's so complicated. But maybe that's the better way of doing it. Building the Astral Sage and the Astral Knight as subclasses of the Astral Adept, or the Astromancer. With the 3 different types of Astral Knight orders, there's only one right now in Teleria. There's only one singular order of Astral Knights, and they are based off of being the protectors of the Astral Sage orders. They're kind of there's one and only one right now. So it does raise an interesting question. Do we want to add in thematically more orders so that there's different variations of the Knights, like Paladins? Then it might feel a little bit too much like Paladins, because currently my Paladins are very order specific. Being part of one order or another is a big part of who and what your Paladin is and what they do. Like mini orders, yeah, we could do that. Traditions within the orders, maybe. Something along those lines. That's a good way of doing it, or thinking about it, I guess. We should start writing this down. I need fuck. Oh, what is the best way to build a subclass or a class? Maybe home brewery. I never really used it, but maybe that's the best way of doing it. That's like kind of what people expect. We format it in Photoshop. Google Docs, yeah, we could just do base text Google Docs as well. And then convert it later. But the spellcasting, hold on. The spellcasting is like, I'm just trying to figure out if we could relate this to Astral Sages. It's still based off of runes. It's just the runes are based off of your melee attacks for a knight, spell attacks for a sage. So maybe that this is actually a better way of doing this, is to try and build the knight and the sage as subclasses of the adept. And then you also, that does remove part of the sort of casual multi-classing that you get. But the problem is with spellcasting is I would want to remove a lot of the Astral Sage spells. Like you, as an Astral Knight, you just don't have access to the Astral Sage spells anymore. Then how is an Astral Adept interesting before level 3? Which I don't think it is. So there's a great benefit to it, but also it kind of messes with things. Fuck, I don't know, man. Google Sheet, why are you masochist? Why do you hate all things good in this universe? Thorkin, who uses a Google Sheet for? I will show, I'll make all the world builders and all the homebrewers upset on Twitch and just use Photoshop. I'll use straight up Photoshop and make it all one file on Photoshop and just build my class out like that. Google Sheets are the best. I don't work at a company, so I don't use Google Sheets. You know, I would never be able to. The knight might have to be a different class if you want a sage adept to have full casting. Yes, yeah, you're right about that. That's the big reason why I think they need to be different classes, and not just subclasses. I don't think subclasses work for these. Regular Windows desktop editor. Yeah, we'll just Oldrail. We'll write our we'll make our subclasses or our class design homebrew in Notepad. That's what we'll do. Notepad classes. Let Thorkin and I run your Google Sheets. You want to run the Google Sheets? That's one more thing you have to do then. That sounds like a lot, man. I don't know. That's a lot, bro. You know? Yeah, okay, I don't... Is there an expectation for subclasses, though? Like the Blood Hunt. Does the Blood Hunter have subclasses when Mercer did it? D&D Blood Hunter subclasses. Or did he just say fuck that shit? Paint? Oh god. Oh no. Monster Fight Hunter, Blood Hunter. Oh, you choose your order. Okay. DD has really interesting, like, I don't know, almost like light and heavy subclasses. But I still think it's too difficult for us to build the Sage and Knight as part of the same class. So, you know, is Incarnate dead? No, I don't know, man. I've never used Incarnate before. Is Incarnate a software you download, or is it a website that you use? Because if it's Dedge, but it's a web app, it's probably Dedge for everyone. Bloodhunter's 3 initial subclasses, then he made the werewolf subclass. Oh, okay. Right. They're pretty light subclasses, though. Like, I don't think the Knight... I think the Knight's too far away. Like, you could say the Hexblade is far away from the Warlock, but... I suppose not really, when you think about it. Oh, it's web app? Okay, yeah, it's probably Dedge. You probably forgot to pay their AWS bill. Jeff Bezos said, cut them off. The nerds don't need maps. Get them out of here. 3 subclasses. We could do kind of like light subclasses for the Astral Knight, I suppose. Make a more tanky one and a slightly more damagey one. Recommend Asgar. That sounds like some Astral tabletop shit that, like, I don't know, is like invite only or whatever. Yeah. Maybe we just have to do this in Google. Google Docs. Ugh. I guess that'd be the easiest way to do it during development, especially though, right? And then we just have like a Google Doc that people can like open up or whatever. But like opening up Google Docs is annoying, right? The thing that's wrong with it, Viddy, is that I feel like people don't like I don't click on Google Docs because it's just annoying to be added to a Google Doc. If someone's like, yo man, check out my backstory for something, here's a Google Doc, I'm like, that's cool, bro. I feel like it's an ask to get somebody to open a Google Doc, you know? Fantasy map generator, super high in depth, does require research into it. Complicated but amazing and free. Why have I never heard of this? Definitely needs a way to share. I think you're right. Yeah, I think regardless of if it's annoying to like, or everything in .txt files. I thought you wrote everything in Adobe Dreamweaver. You just kept, yeah. Weren't you keeping campaign notes for our game in a Dreamweaver, whatever the fucking Dreamweaver files are called? My Lord, remember, is Google Docs as public and viewer only? I think that's the way we have to do this. Is just make the Astral Knight as or the Sages and the Astral Knight as a Google Doc, and then I can do like patch notes. I want to do patch notes for this, like develop notes. I'm gonna treat development of this class like an MMO patch. All right, because that's the only way I know how to update content. And then Google Doc be down for maintenance every Tuesday. We're gonna call it macro media. Dreamweaver, as long as I do not recognize Adobe as a legitimate entity. Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, got it. I forgot about that. You're right. OneNote is good too, possibly better than Google Docs because you can organize it pretty easily. OneNote though, that's Microsoft, but OneNote isn't free, is it? You have to like buy it or whatever. I don't know. I don't use OneNote. I never use that shit. Also, technically make the patch notes on Google Slides. Stop. I'm not making Google Slides patch notes. No, stop. Come on, bro. All right, I gotta make this with my with my Evan Blur art email, don't I? Do I have any Google Docs on that account? Hold on. Google Docs. What the fuck is all this shit? This is what I'm talking about, man. All these Google Docs that people share with me, and then they're just in my Google Docs, and I have to fucking delete all that shit. Get it out of here, man. I don't want to be part of your Google Doc. I don't know what your commission prices are, random artist on Twitter. Like, what is this lore? Like, what is this fucking... What? Inktober? Remove? Move to trash. Commissions and work? Oh, God. All right, we're gonna call this the Astral. I can't do any of this on stream though today because I'm not set up for writing, unfortunately, at this desk. My writing, like, my elbows and hands are below the desk. And usually my chair is a lot higher when I'm playing games or writing. I have to lower it down so that I'm lower to my tablet because I don't have a good tablet stand. Also, my tablet would be here. and kind of blocking the camera a little bit. But I suppose I'd be higher up, so it'd be fine. But until I can afford a proper tablet stand that actually holds my tablet up, I have to be lower on my desk. That was really good. I just don't do any actual world building, so I didn't end up using it. For what? Oh, Notion. Oh, shit. Someone mentioned Notion. That's Steph's summoning word. Yeah, if you say Notion 4 times, Steph shows up with a full fucking schedule ready for you for the next 3 years of your life. What's that in Bluff? Astral Knights. So if I make it, how do I make this public to, oh, I have to share it and then share it as a viewer only, uneditable access. I see. Okay, and then I just post that link in Discord when we're good. So we need to make the beta testing channel. Oh, there's so much work to do for this. Why is building classes so hard? But how / what / when Inktober review / badge stuff? Tomorrow. That'll be. I said that I wanted to try and do it on Thursday. I probably will. I never like to promise anything, but I'm planning on doing the stuff, looking through it tomorrow. I'm gonna message everybody for Inktober badges. I want to review a couple of the cool. We might do that tomorrow at the beginning of stream, or I don't know. Reviewing Inktober is always like kind of weird because I have to filter or go through so many entries. But we might do it like a quick, like, I don't know, rapid fire thing. I wanted to do it last week, but unfortunately I had to give up 3 streams, which that sucked. Steph literally works magic with Notion. It's really impressive. Apparently, if I use Notion Vidi, my life like efficiency will improve by like 90%. But I don't think I'm smart enough to use Notion. Like Notion seems to me, to me is like one of those things that's like LinkedIn is. You know, it's like adults, people who make a lot of money, and old people use it, but I'm not any of those, so I feel like I don't get to use it. It's like Outlook. Like, who uses Outlook? You know, people who work at companies, people who make a lot of money, and people who are old. I don't fit into any of that. So yeah, I don't think I'm smart enough or corporate enough to use Notion, but I probably should be. In development of the night, though, I also want to do a lot of concept art for it. Like, I know this is going to be unintuitive to a lot of people, but the concept art, the visual development of the night is as important as the mechanical development of the night, I think. So we kind of have to do both those at the same time. I could probably upload that to the Google Doc as well. That's easy to share, so. We're on comic pages. Oh shit, you got comics going down? I saw the stuff that you were working on at Bluff and it looks really good. 100% it works, but it's like learning Photoshop from scratch. Yeah, like I said, I'm not smart enough for that. So what's wrong with Outlook? Well, you work for a company, so nothing. Yeah, like I said, you either have to work for a big company or like a professional company, make a lot of money, or be old to use Outlook. And then if you're any of those, you're good. But you know, I play World of Warcraft and live stream Dungeons and Dragons. So anyway, I think that's all for today. I just want to do a quick little World Building Wednesday thing. I have something to do, somewhere to be. Unfortunately, I had to get an appointment today that I could only get at 2, which sucks. So I think that's about where we're gonna wrap it up. Not to get into spellcasting yet, but we'll probably do that next time we talk about the Astral Knight, and I'll have some stuff written down for us to actually reference and be able to add and edit and whatnot. So maybe we'll do it next Wednesday, next World Building Wednesday. I don't know. Either way, tomorrow is gonna be fun. Tomorrow's gonna be some concept art and some cool stuff. We're gonna do some non-Astral Knight concept art, which is gonna be crazy. What's that even like, right? Where's my outro? Boom. There it is, man. Oh, yeah, we got some good ideas in there, man. Some good world building, homebrew. We didn't do any concept art, but that's fine. Great ideas today. You guys are amazing. Y'all are a boon to any D&D. I don't know, any D&D I ever do. I'm always very grateful for the input and help that you guys give me. So, anyway, Tomorrow's gonna be awesome. We'll talk about some cool shit. It'll be awesome. Be fun. Return of sketches on Friday. Next Friday, I'm gonna be live, I think. And the Friday, no. I don't know when the mods are showing up. It might be next Friday, it might be the one after that. I don't remember. But there'll be a Friday coming up here that we won't be doing requests. So tomorrow needs to be a banger. We'll make sure it is. I don't know, man. Have a great rest of your day. Whatever you're doing, if you're being professional and important, or if you're just slacking off and chilling. I hope you have a good one. Until next time, my friends. Farewell.